All right, gang. The attendance tonight was 18,287. The gate was 11.5 million. UFC now holds the number 1, 2, and 3 highest gate record of all time at the Kaseya Center. Fight of the night was the main event. Volkan Lopez. The performance of the nights went to Paddy Pimblett and Silva. They all won $50,000. Congratulations to them.
Dana?
Buddy?
I mean, first of all, we'll start with the main event. Incredible performance by both guys.
Yeah.
But Volkanovski, you know, everyone's talking about his age, his chin. For him to come out and look basically as good as he ever has, give us your thoughts on his performance.
Yeah, I thought he looked incredible tonight. I don't ever remember Volk not having a good chin, and he's really not that old.
Were you surprised at how many shots, big shots, Diego was able to take and keep coming?
Yeah, fascinating thing. Niner, one of the production guys, was telling me during the fight that that Lopez was 5 inches taller, but only had a 1-inch reach advantage or something like that. Because I was surprised that Diego wasn't throwing more jabs and trying to stay on the outside and use his reach advantage a lot more. But you know, it was a good fight. Both guys, you know, dug deep, battled. And
obviously, look, whoever wins, wins. But for Volkanovski to win and become champion again, we remember how active he was when he first held the belt. For you personally, is it just cool that you know you have a guy who you can rely on anytime you need a champion to step up and fight?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that many problems with guys. But there's no doubt about it that Volkanovski was one of the best ever. I mean, the guys like him and Pereira, and you know, they're always ready to fight and always willing to step in and do whatever it takes.
Paddy Pimblett, what a performance. You know, pretty much every question you could ask about that guy now answered. You know, he beat one of the best in the division in Michael Chandler. Give us your thoughts on his performance. What do we do with Chandler now and everything about that fight?
Yeah, people keep counting him out, but he keeps looking better and better and better every time he shows up. Yeah, Paddy Pimblett showed tonight that he is the real deal. Beating Michael Chandler and beating him the way that he did, I don't know how you can doubt the kid anymore.
It would seem likely that next fight out, he's going to get a big name opponent, right? And probably that would be the one that put him into title contention.
Well, tonight was a pretty big name opponent too. But yeah, he's in that spot now where he's going to be fighting top guys. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one more question outside of tonight. It seems like the GFL is maybe dead on arrival. They were unable to put on their first events. I don't know about your thoughts about them, but do you ever look at the business of MMA, and is it a bit of a concern to you that sometimes these promotions are not able to give fighters a place to go after they're done in the UFC, or give them a place to go instead of the UFC? Does it concern you that the business of MMA suffers without these other promotions doing well?
Yeah, I don't know enough about the GFL to really speak on it, but this is, yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks. It's a lot harder than it looks. I don't know what else to say about that. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. So do you, when these new promotions pop up, say they're changing the game, say they're going to do all this new stuff and pay the fighters more and all that, we saw it with Triller, we now see it with GFL, it seems to happen fairly regularly. Do you just not even pay any attention to it at this point?
None. That's why I don't know a lot about it. Literally none. I don't look at, obviously anywhere where these guys can go and make money either on their way up or on their way down is a great thing. But I don't even pay attention to any of that stuff anymore.
Dana, right here. I guess there's a video of Paddy and Colby Covington getting into it.
Yeah, I just heard that on the way in here.
You don't know any of what that was all about?
It happens all the time back here, though.
Pretty great performance from Yair Rodriguez. Some people online think maybe Pitbull just kind of froze under the UFC lights, especially in that first round. I don't really think he threw anything. So what did you make of that fight as a whole?
Yeah, I thought it was a good fight. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about it for years. The jitters, no matter where you've been or what you've done, you think you're going to come here and it's going to be the same, and it's not. I'm not sure if that happened to him tonight. You'd have to ask him, but I thought it was a good fight.
Pretty big star-making performance from Jean Silva. He even said that he thought he was carrying the promotion for this entire card throughout the week, had some of the biggest reactions. I'm curious what you made of his performance against Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, I expected a lot from that fight. I'll tell you what I'll say about Bryce Mitchell. You know what happened, and you know, he's a grown man. He stood his ground, came out and faced the media several times, came in here and fought, and you know, I'm sure a lot of moments he's had leading up to this fight, including tonight in the cage, he felt like his back was against the wall, and he stood up like a man, and he fought and did his thing.
Jean Silva was back here, and he asked me to ask you this. His goal is to get married to his partner in a church, and he offered to make you the best man at his wedding if you would pay for the wedding singer.
Well, wait a minute. So he wants to marry his partner
In a church. And he offered to make you
I'm the best man if I pay for it.
pay for the wedding singer. Apparently there's some Brazilian singer he wants that is out of his price range. He asked me to pass the message along.
I'm going to need more information on this, but I'm probably in.
There was a couple strange stoppages on the prelims for two different reasons. Obviously, the Dan Ige, Sean Woodson, and then the Darren Elkins, Julian Erosa fight. I'm curious if you saw those two.
I didn't see that one. I saw the end when they were, when Elkins was getting up and they were, my room was madness tonight. But I agreed that the Ige fight was stopped too soon.
Amanda Nunes made big waves saying that she wanted to come back. She did a scrum backstage, apparently saying she does want the winner of Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena. I'm curious, did she tell you this ahead of time before?
No, at the press conference when I pointed to her, she said yes.
Obviously, Aaron Pico, big signing. You've been talking about him for a long time. What are your plans with him? Because he thought he was going to fight Movzar. I guess he's not fighting Movzar, and he wants a big name, obviously. But I guess what are your plans with Aaron Pico?
Yeah, we're working on him. I mean, the last couple of years, we brought in some new guys, Pitbull tonight, and I know that the guys have been really excited about him. They've been really excited to get him in here, and we'll probably figure that out on Tuesday.
Dana, right here.
Yep.
I believe the ESPN negotiation window ends Tuesday, right?
Right.
So just curious, as we go into that and you're like surveying the options and anything, like what kind of mindset are you taking into that and like how to level up the product, right? Because that's always been the case with every new TV deal. Is it more events, less events, different types of things? Is there any insights you can share?
No, it's a great question. I mean, when the window opens, we'll obviously start, talking to lots of different people, and we'll see what the options are out there. We've said this every time. There could be a time when we end up on several different networks like sports, like all other sports do. I like ESPN, and I've said it many times. We had a bit of a rocky start, which is normal in any relationship, but we're in a great place with ESPN. Whether we re-sign with them or do not, I have nothing but great things to say about my time at ESPN.
And when you think ahead, do you want to stick to the same schedule format, 43 events a year?
I don't know. It depends on what ESPN or wherever else we go is looking for. Most of the times when you do these deals, you're catering to what the network needs. Plus, they'll have other programming, other sports that they need to, that they're already committed to with certain times and seasons and whatever it may be. So it always changes.
Yeah, there's been
It doesn't matter to me.
Right. There's been like the various, I guess, reporting out there from kind of like media reporting outlets saying the price tag you guys are looking for is $1 billion a year. Is that something you can confirm that would be?
Sounds good to me.
And the past 2 years, during this week, the International Fight Week headliner has been announced. We don't have that yet. Are you guys pretty close to having that? I think a lot of people are excited to maybe see Khamzat Chimaev in a title fight. Is there any chance he's being looked at?
That would be fun. Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, right here.
Yep.
Michael Chandler is now 1-5 in his last 6, but he's always been exciting and a fan favorite. What do you make of his performance tonight? And
he's always in the fight. I mean, he's always in the fight. Tonight was a big night for Paddy Pimblett. People, like we were just talking about, people have been doubting Paddy Pimblett every single fight he fights, and he's undefeated in the UFC. But Chandler's like our Arturo Gatti, man. Every time that guy goes in, you know you're in for a good fight. You know it's going to be a war, and you don't know whether he's going to win or lose.
Can you speak to the depth of the featherweight division? John Silva, we talked about his performance. He's not even ranked right now. We have Volk, we have Lopez, we have Yair. Like, this is a very stacked division. Can you
Well,
remember
Silva
time
will
we-
be he'll be ranked after tonight.
Definitely. Is this deeper than it's possibly ever been?
Yeah, I just feel like it all keeps getting better and better. Yeah.
Earlier this week, there was a news story that broke about the Ali Act potentially being amended by UFC TKO with a memo being sent in. Speculation ran wild as to what that can be. Can you talk to that a little bit?
I'd rather not. Thanks for asking, though.
Last question.
Yep.
Do we have a date or a time period when TKO boxing will launch?
Yeah, but we still got a lot of work to do. I haven't even come up with a name yet. It's not going to be TKO Boxing. That's just like a placeholder. I got to do that this week, too. I got a lot of work to do before I really start talking about that.
Dana, to your right. Just to follow up on the broadcasting rights, there's been a lot of speculation. Do you foresee pay-per-view sticking around, or are you open to the idea of, maybe one of the platforms stepping up and saying, we'll broadcast them all and do in a way of pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's like what I said to him. It's usually we do what the network, what works for the network. What do they want to do? Do they want to just put it on their air? Do they want to do pay-per-view? I don't know. Do they want to put it behind a paywall? I don't know any of those things. Tuesday, the window opens and we start talking to other networks, and we'll get more into that.
And then Verna Jandaroba tonight, 5 wins in a row now, the last 2 against former title challengers. And, of course, we don't know what's happening with Weili. Is there any update on that? Is the thinking that maybe Shevchenko, is Verna going to have to wait? She was concerned about the division being held up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't know right now, though. I'm not even thinking about that. But yes, huge win for her tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana over here. The featherweight division's on fire right now. Obviously, has started by Jose Aldo. Conor McGregor's been here. Max Holloway. Now Volk just got his belt back. Who would you say is the featherweight GOAT?
Shit, that's so tough. I don't know. The rankings are so good, you should probably have them do it. Figure out
Dana at the back here, mate.
the way GOAT is. You done with me?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I had one more if you're cool with it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so The Ultimate Fighter Season 33 is coming out next month. What's the filming process been like, and has there been any drama? Are there any fighters that really excite you?
I don't know about any drama, but the fights are awesome. The fights have been awesome. Yeah. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, due to COVID and other reasons, Alex Volkanovski was never able to defend his belt at home. Now that he's the champ again, will you work with him to maybe let him have his first defense in Sydney, Australia?
I mean, you never. Everything's about timing and where we're planning on going this year already and all that stuff. But yes, we would love to do that for him.
That would be great. Good on you.
Thank you, sir.
Dana, right here.
Yep.
You just mentioned the rankings and John Silva. Any update on when the new meta rankings will be out?
We're working on it. No.
Thank you.
Yep. We just announced the deal. We don't have the rankings ready yet.
Dana,
Yeah.
Ilya Topuria recently said that he was promised a title shot.
Who did?
Ilya Topuria
Okay.
at 155. Is that the case, or what's next for him at 155?
We're working on it. we got a lot of shit to do. Yes, I mean, obviously, he's one of the biggest stars in the company. If we had something in planned, we would have announced that already.
And is there any update on potentially taking the UFC to Spain? Obviously, you mentioned he's the.
No, we're still working on that too.
Also, the UFC announced the booking of Manuel Cap versus Brandon Royval. And a lot of people are thinking that maybe that opens the door for Brandon Moreno to fight Pantoja at UFC Guadalajara. Is that
And you guys love to look deep into the future before. I have no brother. We just finished this show tonight. I'm not even thinking about any of that stuff right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, over here.
Yeah.
Right over here.
Yep.
You blessed us with an amazing card in Miami. In the future, could we see Power Slap come to Miami as well?
100%. Yeah.
That's great.
Sooner than later.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Dana.
I have one more question.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
How do you feel about the Miami crowd and energy tonight? Did you feel it met the UFC standard?
Did what?
I said, how do you feel about the Miami crowd and energy tonight?
Incredible. And what was the rest of the question?
Did it meet the UFC standard?
Did it
meet the UFC?
Oh,
standard?
you shitting me? It was insane in here tonight. Yeah, it was incredible. And again, I say this every time that I come here now. It's like Miami has turned into this incredible international destination. I didn't love Miami as much as everybody else did 15 years ago, 17 years ago, whatever, when we first came. Now, this city is off the charts. I mean, everywhere you go, it's buzzing. The restaurants are incredible. The shopping, it's just, this place has really turned into an incredible city over the last several years. And now we're 1, 2, and 3 here all time at the Kaseya Center, and the crowd, the fans, everybody. I mean, this is a place now, when we put on a fight here, we make sure that we build, a badass card, and people come from everywhere to Miami now to spend the weekend here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can't say it enough.
Hey, Dan,
Go ahead, sir.
I'm from Brazil. There's what's the plan for Brazil this year with pay-per-views?
Yeah, we've been talking about, we're working on Brazil right now. We will be in Brazil, and we'll figure this thing out.
And how's Fight Pass Brazil going? Because I was a big supporter of it. I thought it was awesome to be able to measure our fighters when they fight, how many subscriptions you get and all that stuff. Is it something you guys gonna keep? Is it?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's where we're on TV in Brazil. So yeah, we're gonna keep on doing it. Yes.
Last one.
And thank you.
Any plans for Power Slap in Brazil?
Yeah. Listen, I'm taking Power Slap everywhere too. It's gonna go everywhere.
I'm sure they'll love it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Dana over here.
Yep.
So you were mentioning Miami, and like 3 years in a row, it's just been outstanding here. And you've had President Trump here, and even the cabinet here tonight, some of his cabinet. Just what was that like? And just did it make it a little more challenging having him and the cabinet here, because it was a different situation from last year and the year before?
Well, when he first started coming, it made it challenging because we had never done it before. Now it's a piece of cake. We work well together with Secret Service and law enforcement, and it goes pretty smooth. Other than some roads being shut down when people are trying to get here, but other than that, it's been very smooth. They're easy to work with, and he's such a huge fight fan. He loves coming to the fight, so it's fun. I like when he comes.
And lastly, for me, just what has it been like? UFC has just been killing it. WWE is killing it. What's it been like with this TKO group merger with you guys, and just everything's just going great right now?
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, I agree with you. Everything is good right now, and yeah, it's been fun. We've been busy as hell. I've been home like 22 days since Christmas, but it's been good, really good. Thank you, sir.
Dana. Hello, Dana, right here.
Hi.
I've got only one question.
Yep.
You guys have been bringing the UFC in Paris 3 years in a row. Every single time you came, the crowd went crazy, maybe as the best in the world. Is it still the plan to come in September as you used to?
I think so. Yeah, you know what's crazy? I haven't been to Paris yet for a fight. I haven't made one of those fights, but he tells me it's amazing, and he's like, you have to come to the next Paris show. So the answer is yes, sir. We will be there this year.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, Dana. With the fight night coming up in Azerbaijan in June, how are you handling some of the recent risks that are coming up there with some war threats with Armenia? And could this affect fighter safety and event logistics?
I don't think so. Obviously, if there was anything that was incredibly dangerous, we wouldn't do it. But
if that had to be rebooked, could we rebook it for Boston?
I'm not even thinking about rebooking. Could we rebook it for Boston? Yeah, we're gonna be going to Baku. We're doing it, and yeah, hopefully we can get to Boston this year too. I'll be there for the playoffs. Any other questions? Done? Good night, everybody. Thank you. All right, gang. The gate was 10.1 million tonight, 18,869 sold out. Fight of the night was Gaethje, Fiziev. Performance of the night tonight went to where is it? Yep. Okay. Ignacio and Ruffy. They all won 50 grand.
A tactical battle, we'll say, in the main event.
Yeah.
Crowned a new champion tonight, though. I guess, can you give us your initial thoughts on the main event tonight?
Yeah. It was, not what I expected. I expected a lot more shooting, expected a lot more exchanges. Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see Alex back here or not tonight, but we haven't seen him yet. Have you talked to him? Do you know if there was anything wrong with him?
Talk to who?
To Alex Bejeda tonight?
No, I haven't seen him yet. He's coming? Yeah? Is he coming here? Huh? Maybe? Potentially.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good. Potentially sounds bad.
Clearly, we don't matchmake on fight night, but a fight that close with a champion as great as Bejeda has been, do you lean towards immediate rematch?
Probably.
Co-main event, Justin Gaethje did Justin Gaethje things.
Mm-hmm.
Just give us your thoughts on him. And
great fight, yeah. I mean, they won 50 grand for fight of the night. They stole it away from the first two kids of the night. They were looking like they were going to win it. Yeah.
He was back here and said, look, I don't even know what makes sense, but he's like, I do want to fight for the title again at some point, before he's done. Do you feel like at this point in his career he's still on a potential championship trajectory?
I mean, what's he ranked right now? 4th or something, right?
3rd.
Yeah, 3rd. There you go. He's still the number 3 ranked guy in the world, so the odds of him getting a title shot are pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't seen this till I saw a lot of people complaining on X Twitter tonight they couldn't buy the pay-per-view. Did that make it to you? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it made it to me. They were having problems buying it on ESPN Plus. I don't know what happened with their platform tonight, but yeah, there were a lot of pissed off people.
Couple outside of tonight. Obviously, you're making big news in boxing. The announcement was finally made. What can you tell us? I'm just curious, like, what you see your ultimate position as, right? Like, the UFC right now is the dominant brand in mixed martial arts. Do you see being able to be the dominant brand in boxing, or is it more like we're a player in boxing along with the other entities out there?
It's a good question. I would say yes, that Sheikh Turkey and Saudi are the dominant players in boxing right now. And basically, I'm going to run and manage the business for them. This is not an easy business to be in. I mean, you guys have seen over the many years that I've been doing this, a lot of people have tried to get into this sport and into the fight business. The fight business is looks like a very fun business to be in until you actually start spending some money and getting in here and doing it. And I think that Sheikh Turkey and his crew found out quick that it's a lot tougher than it seems, and came to me and wanted to work out a deal where we run the business.
Nice. When do you teach him the have we made that announcement yet? If we do, you'll know when we're ready. He seems to be leaping ahead and kind of revealing all of your news before you're ready.
Yeah. Listen, I'm trying to get him to pump the brakes a little bit, and we don't just lay it all out there. This whole press tour that we did on Monday was to announce the deal. But I'll tell you what's fascinating about him. He's a visionary when it comes to the sport, and he wants to do a lot of like one-of-one type events, and like the Sphere. One-of-one type events are very expensive, so we got a lot of work to do, and I didn't want to talk about a lot of the stuff that we're planning on doing because we have to build some infrastructure first and figure out, and we got to get a rights deal. We're out shopping a rights deal right now. Lot of work to do before we start announcing big things.
Nice. Last thing I want to ask you about with Power Slap. Content distribution strategies are changing all the time right now, it seems. Why YouTube? Why is that where you picked to put it? And do you see that as a long-term solution for Power Slap?
Well, I don't know if it's changing. You just have, when you think about the world right now, you have all these different sports, not just in the United States, but all over the world, battling for content rights. And if you look at combat sports, even Sheikh Turkey, with the money that he has and the money that they've been spending in the sport of boxing, they don't have a big rights deal either. So sometimes you got to get creative. And as far as I'm concerned, it's more about eyeballs, and obviously money's important. You got to have money to you know, to keep the thing rolling. But YouTube's incredible. You know, 2.5 billion potential viewers every time you do something. And yeah, we were talking to a lot of different people. Linear television, you know, we came from Rumble. Rumble ended up being like our Spike TV to launch it. They were really good to us. And yeah, this just seemed like the right move at the right time. What I don't like is once we start talking about doing deals, people start telling you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't advertise. The list goes on and on. And I like to run my own production, run my own show, and no better place to do that than YouTube.
Dana, going back to Alex tonight, you know, there's been a little bit of talk about, you know, he's everywhere around the world, right? He's flying to Sydney, he's doing all this stuff when he could be, you know, maybe training at home. Do you feel like that maybe affected his performance and he looked flat tonight, or do you actually give it to Ankalaev for just putting the pressure on him and making him look flat?
That's a good question. I think that's a question definitely for him to answer. I definitely don't know his schedule. I know he's been bouncing around, but do you see this everywhere? When somebody becomes a big star and they start making lots of money, there are lots of different doors that open and opportunities. But there's no doubt everybody knew that Ankalaev was going to be a tough fight for him. Everybody knew that this was going to be probably the biggest challenge of his career. And yeah, I wouldn't take anything away from Ankalaev and the pressure that he put on Alex tonight, and you know, kept pushing forward. Even in the 5th round, I was listening on the headphones. You know, Alex's corner was saying, "You got to go after him this round. You have to let everything go. You got to let your hands go. You got to try to take him out."
There was a lot of talk before this fight from kind of mainstream media that, like, oh, Alex John would be the fight to make. But do you think tonight shows that actually Alex is still pretty new in MMA and it's John Tom was always the fight, and that's the fight that you still want to make?
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to ask a guy, you know, to move up 2 weight classes to heavyweight and take on the greatest of all time. I think we all agree with that in this room, right? It's you know, there's still tough guys to fight in the light heavyweight division. I believe in moving up after you clean out divisions, and this division wasn't cleaned out yet.
Going back to is it TKO boxing? Is that the official name?
Well, that's the sort of, we're putting a pin in that one right now. But yeah, I mean that's what I like and want, but we'll see.
Right. When you talk about the business of boxing, one of the biggest issues in it is that the guys who are in boxing can't get on and they never do deals, and it took Turkey to come along with money to basically make them work together, right? So with that respect, when you've come on to do this for Turkey, do you almost have to cut out these other guys because they're just going to make your job harder, right, if you're having to negotiate with every promoter in the sun? Do you have to come out and eventually just get rid of these guys, lock them in Alcatraz, like Turkey said, and just do it yourself?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm more focused on, if you think about the UFC when we bought the company, we had 3 letters, the old octagon, and 12 contracts. We had to build the thing from the ground up. I think that the sport of boxing is so broken it needs to be built from the ground up again. And that's what I'm going to focus on doing. You know, he's got some commitments over the next 18 months with a lot of guys and a lot of fights and a lot of different promoters, but I talk a lot about USA's Tuesday night fights. You know, they put on like the best up and coming fighters all fought on that show and then became big pay-per-view stars. That's what it's the same thing that happened with the UFC. You know, we started on Spike TV, we built stars, and they became pay-per-view stars. I want to do the same thing with boxing.
So is there a world where you're on stage with De La Hoya and Bob Arum one day, all playing nice?
I mean, let's hope not. I would never say never, but that is not what I plan to do.
Dana,
Yeah.
Backstage after the Sydney pay-per-view, we talked. There was a lot of young lightweights that won on that card. A lot of people making their debuts. There was 2 more today, and Rufi and Ignacio that got the bonus. It just seems like there's this huge new wave of lightweights that are just kind of surging up at around the same time the top 15 teams at the tail end of their career. So just what do you make of this new rise of lightweights just around the world right now?
What do I make of it? I think it's great. What's your question?
Just
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that the answer to it?
Sure. Jalen Turner said he's probably going to retire after this performance. He's only 29 years old. Have you had a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, he yelled it through the cage to me, and I said, yeah, all right. Well, I let the truck know that he was going to retire, and then I think somebody talked him out of retiring in the octagon tonight. I don't know if it was Bilal or who it was, but yeah, you know how I feel about that. Usually when you start, very rarely do I disagree with somebody when they feel like they want to retire.
You announced Robbie Lawler going into the Hall of Fame. It seems like that was obviously a no-brainer. Just what can you say about Robbie and why now is the time to induct him?
Yeah, I've had a great relationship with Robbie, pretty much his entire career and most of mine. I think I saw him fight in Hawaii years ago, and then, he was young, but I still wanted to sign him. And, to see what he's gone on and accomplished in his career and his life, it's awesome, and it couldn't happen to a better guy.
And last one for me, I'm sure you've heard this, but the Josh Van fight, it was the first time in UFC history 2 fighters born after 2000 fought each other in the UFC. So I'm curious, did you know that? And now you got millennials fighting.
I did not know that, yeah.
Dana right here.
Yep.
You talked about Gaethje and the potential title shot. How would you guys ultimately make the decision on who's next for Islam? Because you got Charles there, you got Arman there, and then obviously Ilia Topuria as well.
Yeah, well, you guys know there's a lot of different, factors that, play out when we start talking about who's fighting next. Injuries, timing of when they want to fight, when they don't want to fight, geographically where we end up. So there's a lot of different things that determine whether a guy fights for the title and when.
Yeah, and Ilia teased a massive announcement a few days ago. Is that fight related?
I don't know. That I don't know. Probably.
Okay. And you were talking about Tom and John. Tom released that video blog a few days ago on the train where he was saying like John's side is holding up the fight. What is he referring to there?
Well, I think that, listen, John Jones definitely wants to fight. Just when and where is what we're working on now.
Do you feel confidence? I think you said John
I'm
fight
very
in
confident
summer on first
that
take.
that fight happens, yeah.
Summer?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dana?
Dana, right. How did you have the main event scored?
What's the question?
How did you have the main event scored?
I don't know if I had the exact score in my head, but I thought Uncle Ive won the fight.
Gotcha.
I wasn't like shocked when I heard the decision.
Gotcha. And talking about Rufy with that amazing knockout, you got him, John Silva, Carlos Prates. Like, do those guys on Tuesdays when you guys do matchmaking, like, you look at those names and be like, yeah, we got some fun fights coming up for those guys?
Yeah. I mean, we have a whole. We added this whole part of the board. I have all this stuff on the wall. I like it all on the wall. We have this whole thing that we just added to the wall with all the up-and-coming guys that we liked from the Contender or guys that come off, a night like tonight. And we keep them on the wall to keep them top of mind. And so, yeah, the answer is yes.
On the broadcast for UFC 314, Yair Rodriguez and Pitbull are now on the prelims. Is that just to get the most eyeballs on that fight because it's going to be probably...
We really don't determine that until we get closer. We start moving stuff around a couple weeks before the fight. So that's not definite.
Did you watch the Tank Davis boxing match?
I didn't see it. I was somewhere. I don't remember where I was, but I've only been home it's like my 17th day since Christmas that I've been home. But I was somewhere. I don't remember where I was, but I didn't watch it, no.
Gotcha. And then finally, talking about Turkey, want to do one-on-one events. What's your take on this New York Times Square boxing event that's going on with like Ryan Garcia? I
think it's incredible. I mean, to rent out Times Square and every billboard in Times Square, and it's insane. I think it's brilliant, and definitely one of those one-of-one type events.
Would you do that?
What's that?
Would you do that?
Would I do that? I did the Sphere. You don't see too many people jumping in to do the Sphere right now. I thought more people would try to do it after we did. Yeah. Thanks.
Dana, right
yeah.
here. Dana, I mean,
you had the UFC pay-per-view headlined by your Fighter of the Year. You had Power Slap this week. You had the Fight Pass Invitational with Jiu-Jitsu. Now you've had this big boxing press tour. I mean, can you just, what is your week even like? How do you even manage running all of that just as a businessman?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I thought I was busy. I didn't realize what busy really was until the last couple of weeks. But yeah, we're gonna. I think I told you this to you guys before, but we're gonna invest like $10 to $12 million into jiu-jitsu over the next year. So we're gonna go big on that. We're obviously going big on boxing. We're gonna continue to do what we do with the UFC, and then switching Power Slap over to YouTube is I told you guys 2 years ago. Watch what happens to Power Slap in the next 2 years, and I'll say it to you again. Watch what happens to Power Slap in the next 2 years.
We see you obviously in attendance at everything. Obviously, you're the face and the front man for so much on top of running the business. At what point do you say, I got to find someone to pass a few of these things on to?
We're going to find out this year. This year is going to be we're going to find out this year. We'll see. We'll see how long I can run this hard. Come on, Gary Brecka.
Dana, off to your right here, mate. You guys recently signed a landmark deal with Monster Energy. The claw or the can is going to be in the center of the octagon for 5 years. I'm sure there was a ton of brands that were wanting that. It's literally the most coveted spot, I guess, in the octagon. So I'm guessing that a decision like that means a little bit more than just money. What are some of the intangibles that a brand like that brings, and what actually goes into a decision like that from your end?
The relationship. We've been in business with them for a long time. They've been good to us on a lot of different fronts. They've been a really good partner. I think I told you guys after COVID, it's not about money anymore. I want to be in business with people that I'm aligned with and that I have good relationships with. And you don't know who anybody is until the shit hits the fan. And when the shit hit the fan, I found out who was who and what was what. And as we enter into new deals, I'm only going to be in business with guys that I'm really aligned with, especially sponsorship.
And just, it's kind of a follow-up, but Fight Pass Invitational this week in Vegas was unreal. Andy Murasaki made his debut under the UFC organization. Nicky Rod, Victor Hugo is probably the biggest match that you can make that's not a Gordon Ryan heavyweight match. Do you guys have any real concrete plans? Because it seems like it's naturally ramping up. And could we see a Alex Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev fight in grappling, or just Hamzat versus anyone? There's some crazy matchups in grappling that you guys could make that would honestly send that sport through the moon.
The answer is yes. If those big fights are available that we could make, we would definitely do it. But I think you're going to see more of the jiu-jitsu guys, the big stars in jiu-jitsu, before you see UFC fighters.
Over here. Going back to the boxing, Canelo had some good words regarding you and TKO's jump into boxing, saying that he believes it's great for the fighters and great for the sport in general. What's it like hearing that from what many people consider the face of boxing, and for you, a potential partner one day?
Obviously, to hear that some of the biggest stars are excited that we're getting into the sport is obviously a good thing. Definitely not a bad thing. But like I said, and I'll say it again, we got a lot of work to do over the next couple weeks. I got a big boxing meeting on Wednesday, so we'll get a lot of. And not to mention the fact that I've talked a lot of shit about boxing for the last 25 years. So I got some shit to do. I gotta get to work and figure out not just the infrastructure. I'm gonna work out on Wednesday who we're gonna hire, who we're gonna bring in, start building a team like we have with the UFC over the last 25 years, and now I got to do that for boxing. I already got the office space over there, and time to start filling it.
I was going to ask, how do some of those conversations with those boxing people look like nowadays, just kind of given the history you've had with the sport?
What's the question?
I said, how do those conversations look like with people from the boxing industry now that you're in it? Just kind of given the history of what you've said about the sport before.
As far as the boxing, you mean the other promoters?
Yeah, just.
I mean, it's the same as it's going to be the same as it's always been. There's guys that I like and guys that I don't like. I would imagine that I will continue to like the guys that I like and continue to dislike the guys that I don't like. So I'm sure none of that's going to change.
Awesome.
It'll probably get worse, if anything.
Last one for me, the fighting nerds were brought up, obviously, with Rufy's amazing performance tonight. Jean Silva and Carlos Prates received a loud pop at the press conference this week. What can you say about the rise of their gym in general this past year, and do you think these guys are the potential next superstars in their respective weight classes?
The fighting nerds have been brought up.
Yeah,
Carlos Prates, Jean Silva, they're really getting a lot of pop during.
They were trending tonight on. We follow all the trends that happen on social media, and they were trending tonight. They were one of the big trends on social.
How do you feel about that gym having such a rise so quickly?
Yeah, listen, I love it. Anytime a gym or a specific group, a team, whatever you want to call it, or a fighter starts to, people start to take interest and become excited about them, it's exciting for all of us. Love it.
Dana, back here.
Yeah.
How do you sum up what we saw out of Alex's title reign over the last year, what he was able to accomplish in comparison to the other great light heavyweight runs that you've seen?
Yeah, I think that the story of him and Israel Adesanya is incredibly fascinating. These guys that come from kickboxing and were able to come to the UFC and dominate the way that they have, and the story between them, it's fascinating. It's like it's nothing I've ever seen before in the sport. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, thanks.
Back here, Dana.
Yep.
Way
Hi.
over here.
Hi.
Hey. So Power Slap at Fontainebleau seems to be exploding out of that room. It's a nice venue. I know you like the venue, but could you see it moving to someplace outside of Fontainebleau, given the fact that it was very, very full this
Yeah,
week?
we're getting it sanctioned everywhere, so we will start to travel around. We just did one in Saudi, which the one in Saudi did so well that we ended up signing a deal the next day for 4 more this year and 2 more next year. So, yeah, it works really well at Fontainebleau. I guarantee you when they were building that place, they were never thinking, we'll have great Power Slap events over here. But, yeah, we love the facility. We love the room. The after party's fun, too. And, yes, the answer is yes. We're going to start traveling this around as the sanctioning continues, though. We got California, we got Texas. What else? Where's Hunter? What else we got? Florida, Jersey, Oklahoma. Yeah, the Oklahoma Commission was there last night at that event. 5 more pending. So.
It's moving. Just one more for me. You had said this week and many times that fighting is in our DNA. If there's a basketball game and a fight going on, people are going to go and watch the fight. What is the DNA of the type of fighter that you're looking for the new boxing league? Because there's a lot of fighters in the world, but there's got to be is there a specific DNA that you're looking for in terms of guys that you are willing to sign right now?
Well, just like any combat sport, you're looking for the most exciting and most talented up-and-coming fighters. That's what I'm going to be looking for when we launch this new promotion, I guess you'd call it. And like I said, we got to secure a rights deal with somebody, and then I want to match make like we do here. The best possible fights from the first fight of the night up till the main event, create stars, and continue to put on fights where the best fight the best. And like I always tell you guys, I sell holy shit moments for a living. That's what I do. So when you watch a boxing match on a Saturday night, hopefully we'll get 3 or 4 holy shit moments, and you're not upset that you stayed home and you watched our product.
I have 2. With TKO and UFC and even WWE under the same corporate umbrella, do you see creating like Super Bowl weekend type things, especially maybe in Vegas at some point, where you just have a whole combat sports week?
I don't know. I am a big believer in what I've learned over the last 25 years of doing this, is that when you have big events on the same night, and people have already made the commitment to stay home and watch, they'll watch both. Like tonight, even in the back room before I came out, the Celtics played the Lakers. I was watching the Celtics-Lakers game and our fights, and I had them on the TV out there beside the octagon. So
I was
think
thinking more if you do like a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, all in Vegas, like 3 different
Yeah,
events.
I mean, we're already doing that in some cities already. But yeah, I mean, you could see us doing UFC and boxing the same night. And yes, obviously, Slap goes Friday and WWE could go Sunday. And yeah, the answer is yes. We're definitely going to do that.
And the other one was Cash Patel was here tonight. I know he made some news saying there could be a deal between you guys and the FBI at some point. I guess, has there been any further discussions and where you are on that? What might that look like?
Well, after he said that, my phone blew up. You know, everybody wants to be the trainers to the FBI now, so I got everybody. But he's dead serious about that. I talked to him about it tonight. Yeah, he's dead serious, so we'll see. We'll see how that starts to come together. You good? Have a great night, everybody. Thank you. All right, gang. The attendance was 18,253. Sellout, $7.7 million gate. That's the record gate for any Australian indoor arena ever. And it's the continent record. We beat our own record for that one. Quinlan and Teixeira, performance of the night. Rongju and Steele for the fight of the night. Did I fuck that up? You know what I meant.
No,
Performance of the night, fight of the night. $50,000 for all of them. Congrats to them. And I want to thank New South Wales government and Destination New South Wales for their ongoing support of the UFC and helping to bring this event to Sydney. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Let's talk about the main event. You know, great performance by DDP. Won every round on 2 of the judges' scorecards. Felt like Sean Strickland never really got out of first gear. What's your take on the fight and how do you view it?
I agree with you. Sean is usually really good at shutting people down. And like Izzy, when he fought Izzy felt like it looked like he couldn't get into a rhythm. And he was in his face, pressuring him the whole time. Feels like that was what Dreykus did. I'll tell you something fascinating that I noticed tonight for the first time. I don't know why. See if you notice this. So Sean Strickland, the way that he acts leading up to fights, right? Normally when you have people who act the way that he acts, you see signs of it in a fight. Who is more focused, professional, and solid in a fight than he is? You know, when he gets hurt, no sticking out the tongue or no, that didn't hurt me, anything. The guy stays focused, keeps coming forward. There's never any hint of how he acts outside the octagon when he's in there. Absolute professional the whole time. It's actually fascinating. I don't know if I've ever seen that with a guy who acts the way he does leading up to fights.
It must just be his happy place or something.
Huh?
It must be his happy place.
I don't know. Or this is all, you know what I mean? I've never seen a guy so solid and professional. Gets his nose broke, snaps it back into place and keeps fighting. Gets hit with some nasty shots. When he gets hit with big shots, he doesn't start shaking his head and doing all the goofy things that people like that do. Mayorga. I mean, you can go into any combat sport and you've seen it. Nobody is more professional during the fight than this guy is. It's fascinating, actually.
And another thing on Strickland as well that I think all the talking makes people sort of overlook is that he's very tough as well. Like, he ate some big shots from DDP. The nose thing, like, usually if you see a fighter freak out from the pain, they lose their composure. Like you said, he just gets right back into it and dials back in.
100%. Never, looks like he never slides off his game plan, stays focused, doing what he's supposed to do, even with a broken nose. Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating.
And on the other side with Dreykus, I mean, it got a little bit weird towards the end, but it would be said that in the first round, he actually looked maybe more technical than he has in...
Well, you know what's funny is, and I meant it as a compliment, when I said he fights like a white guy dances, right? Like awkward and whatever. It's all, they've been focusing on that. I was like, don't listen to the shit that I say. I'm, you know, whatever he's doing works. He's the world champion. And how do you spar for a guy like that, you know? Don't change anything that he's doing on account of what I say.
I imagine this has to be discussed on Tuesday, but it would feel like Dricus Hamzat is a pretty big fight that you guys could put on right now.
Yeah. We'll talk about it on Tuesday, though.
Co-main event, Zhang came out-muscled the woman who was meant to be stronger than her, out-wrestled the woman who was meant to out-wrestle her. Amazing performance by her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys or how you felt, but lots of people were texting me saying that Weili loses tonight and, you know, it's over, and she was an underdog, and I bet the casinos got murdered tonight because I bet a lot of people threw money on Tatiana. But when you look at Weili, she's one of the greatest of all time, the best female fighter, you know, in the sport right now. And at the press conference, you know, Tatiana was talking about what she was going to do and what about her wrestling. And Weili said, this isn't a wrestling match, this is a fight. And she actually out-wrestled Tatiana tonight and absolute stud. And such a huge, huge star in China for us. She trended, I want to say she trended #1 like 4 times during fight week. 100 million views just on UFC platforms in China. And tonight she was trending #1 in all the big territories for us. So huge star.
I would assume then that you would look to bring her to China at some point in the future.
What's that?
Would you like to take her to China at some point in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the talent that's coming out of, you know, they all look good tonight. So, yeah, it was a really, really good week for China.
Yeah. I just have one for you outside of this one. I don't know if you've seen the boxing world this week with Turkey Al-Sheikh apparently stealing Canelo from Jake Paul and managing to get a 4-fight deal. Curious if you've had any takes on that and if you are impressed with what Turkey's able to do in boxing.
With what? Who's able to do?
Turkey managed to steal Canelo from Jake Paul, basically.
Listen, they control the sport of boxing right now. I don't think it's hard for them to steal anybody from anybody. I don't know the ins and outs of that deal, but I'm sure it's not too hard to steal somebody away from them to Saudi. Yeah. Totally different levels there. Not even the same universe of levels.
In the front right here. We spoke with Weili before this fight earlier this week, and she said that if she got past Tatiana, what she would want is to move up in flyweight because she feels like she's running out of opponents at strawweights. Will you entertain like this super fight between Valentina and Weili in the future?
They're waiting for me.
It was also it seems like a big night for just like these Australian prospects like Quinlan in the beginning, Tom Nolan, Mikulev on the prelims, all making their debuts, but they're in here and they're talking about, you know, the lightweight division has a lot of people in past 35 that might not be here, and I'm going to be the guys that will, this new wave of lightweights headlining fight nights moving forward. What did you make of all the debutantes today?
Yeah,
winning?
I love it. You know, I keep talking about this region and how fast it blew up, not just fans. I mean, fans were packed to the roof tonight in there, but the talent that's coming out of this region.
And you guys announced Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum going into the UFC Hall of Fame. Seems like a no-brainer, but even Izzy thought it was. He was surprised because he goes, "I'm still young. I'm not making the Hall of Fame right now."
Yeah. So what's weird about it is that this stuff was decided a long time ago, and then we end up here, so it worked out perfect. He didn't know why he was here, and when he came over and sat near me, he was like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "I just wanted to hang with you a little bit," and then he got hit with it. So well-deserved and really happy for him. We talked tonight. He's going to take some time off and relax. So
there's a debate online over whether that's the greatest co-main event fight in UFC history. It seems to be between that, Joanna Weili 1, and Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler 2. I'm curious if you have a take on that.
Fuck. All three of those are tough to, Yeah, that's tough.
Just last one for me. Dominic Cruz announced his retirement. Guy some people think is the greatest bantamweight of all time. At worst, the second best bantamweight ever. I'm curious, just what do you make of Dominic's career?
And he's great on the mic too. So, when you have the type of experience and the type of career he's had, and you can sit in the booth and talk fights, it's awesome. So he'll have a great career after his career.
Was that his call to like kind of hang it up like after another injury? Or did you guys have a conversation?
Listen, I'm blown away that he's hung in there as long as he did. I mean, who's been more injured than this guy in his career? It's fascinating, and the mental drive to want to just keep coming back and trying again and again and again after so many surgeries and so many injuries. You got to give it to him, but I'm glad that he finally hung it up.
Actually, just one more. A couple featherweights were here, in Ilya, Volkanovski, and Diego. You guys announced the Miami and Montreal Carter. Is there any, like this featherweight kind of trilogy between those three? Is there anything we can clear up on who's fighting who in the near future?
Soon. Not tonight. Who's next? Ah, what's up, buddy?
这次我也是代表中国咪咕前方特派员报道本次赛事。你心中的 PCP 第一是谁？是维利吗？
This is Leach from Migu. First question for you is, do you still think Valentina is the pound for pound number one, or Weili is the pound for pound number one right now?
Who?
Valentina or Weili is the pound for pound number one?
That's a good one. Yeah. I fucking hate answering these questions because I love them both. Maybe we'll just have to find out.
这是大家都很关心的问题。下一场你会安排他和子弹打吗？我们很想知道，也很期待这场比赛。
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this fight, Weili versus Valentina. Do you think this will happen?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
今年中国赛有的话，老板也希望你能来到中国。 很多粉丝们都期待你来感受一下中国人的热情。
If there's a China event this year, hopefully, Dana, you can come to China, and a lot of fans is looking forward to seeing you in China.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've already said this week I'm definitely going to China, and I'm going to tour all around mainland, and yeah, I got a lot of plans this year for China. I will be there, and like I was telling these guys earlier, Weili and her team are waiting out here for me right now, so I don't know. I don't know, and I do know what they want.
今天中国的成千上万的粉丝都在关注这场比赛，而且在整场比赛来看，韦利也没有受太大的伤，应该是。是粉丝们希望你都能跟韦利安排2场比赛，今年大家很期待。
Yeah, Weili seems very dominated, and she don't have any injury. Do you think she can fight multiple times in 2025?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Yeah, she looked absolutely dominant tonight. She looked great. As far as I know, she's healthy and came out of that fight with 0 injuries. So yeah, yes, the answer is yes. We'll see what she wants. And, you know, she's at a point in her career now and everything that she's accomplished that whatever she has to ask me in the hallway back here, I'm probably going to say yes.
Thank you. 谢谢老板。
Thank you.
Dana, just straight ahead in between these two cameras.
Yep. Hi.
Obviously, there was a bit of talk in the build-up to this event with the tax that the fighters get coming here. I just wondered if there was any conversation between yourself and the Premier or the New South Wales government for any potential alleviation in that regard?
About what,
taxes for the fighters? If there's any conversation between you and the government about maybe taking them, helping out with the tax?
If I had that kind of power, I'd be negotiating that shit for myself in the United States, too. Unfortunately, my friends, we all have to pay taxes. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Do you understand the fans being a little bit disappointed that, you know, the fighters don't have that incentive to come all the way to Australia because of how high the tax is?
Yeah, it's no different than if we go to New York or California or some of these other states. Yeah, taxes are an unfortunate, you know, but I think that there is, I mean, these guys can file and get some of the money back. I mean, you can file and get some of the money back as far as I'm aware of. But, yeah, listen, no matter what side of the fence you sit on or what you believe in, we can all agree that taxes suck. I don't think there's any argument with anybody on that one. They suck, but there's something we got to pay.
Just in the back right here, Dana.
Yep.
Well, touching on what you just said there is a tax treaty between Australia and the US, so US fighters at least aren't double taxed, so you're on the money there. Sincerely, I do want to also thank you for coming to Sydney. The vibe here was unmatched. Speaking about great Australian fighters, Steve Erceg was set to fight Asu Almabayev, and now the main event of UFC Mexico City is him against Brandon Moreno. I'd love to understand the build-up of that and why that fight changed.
Shit, I have no idea. I don't remember how or why it did. But I don't know. I couldn't honestly answer that question for you right now.
That's right. That's right. I also wanted to ask you a question about Jairzinho Rosenstruck. After his fight against Pavlovich, there were reports going around that maybe he's not with the UFC anymore. He posted that onto his ex that was the case. Did he request his release, or was he not re-signed? What was the situation there?
Yeah, he was either cut or not re-signed.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah.
With multi-fight deal in Australia and it being a bigger market, what's the likelihood of another card coming back to New Zealand?
Coming back to New Zealand? That's a good question. I can't answer that one off the top of my head either. But yes, obviously, I mean, look at tonight. Look how successful this event is, and you know, this is a big event for us tonight. Again, we broke the record, trending. You know, #1 in the United States, #3 in Brazil, #1 in Australia, #4 in France. There's, you know, what people don't understand is when we move this thing around and we go to different parts of the world, #1 in China, off and on the entire week, 100 million views for Chinese content just on UFC platforms, not including, it's just, it's big. It's big. A lot of people don't understand this business and how this business really works. Most people don't. Media, you know, and a lot of other, you know, people who follow the sport. Tonight was a big event for the UFC, massive. So we'll be back here soon.
And it's every event seems to break records. There has to be a cap eventually. Is there a risk of outpricing fans to be able to attend?
What's the question?
The events keep breaking records. There must be a cap at one point. Do you think you may be reaching a point to outprice the fans?
Well, we're not close. I mean, we keep breaking the records. And I mean, if you look at what it costs to come to a UFC event, it's on par or cheaper than most big events.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, just another one over here. Repeated successful events in Australia, and I don't know literally number by number, but I would assume a record amount of Australian and New Zealand fighters signed last year. There was heaps of them. What do you think it is about this region that it's gaining so much success in the UFC?
You know, I think that when I first started this thing, right, the three no-brainers for me were the United States, Mexico, and the UK, traditionally big boxing countries. But Australia, when you really think about it, does make a lot of sense too. A lot of tough people here. You guys got rugby, soccer, and a couple other sports. I saw fucking pillow fighting on fucking TV tonight here in Australia. I don't ever want to hear another word from you people about power slap, okay? Ever. But yeah. It makes sense. You know, the fan base continues to grow here, and the talent is off the charts. So I don't know if I answered your question, but hope so.
And just one more from me. The last few times you've come to Australia, it's been for pay-per-view events. However, if I'm not mistaken, the deal with Perth was one pay-per-view and one fight night. UFC is such a big machine. To bring an event like a fight night all the way down here, do you expect it to be like more difficult because it may be like a smaller event?
No, we bring fight nights everywhere. I just did a fight night in Saudi Arabia last week. Fight nights and pay-per-views are how we built this business. We have a whole laundry list of fighters that are super talented and possibly the world champions of tomorrow. And those are the guys that we move around and put on fight night cards. As long as the fights are, listen, I have to have 3 or 4 holy shit moments a night. And as long as that happens on any card that we do, we had a successful evening.
Thank you very much.
And Dana, just at the back here. Speaking of the Perth card, the fight night, there was reports coming out that it might be June, July. Do you have any details on that?
June, July, that's Perth, perhaps?
I don't know off the top of my head.
And I just wanted to clarify. I asked you the press conference, but, you know, it's a little bit more intimate here. We can have that chat. Sean Strickland and the New South Wales government, obviously all the media and stuff and the outrage. Obviously, you laughed about the other day with what you put on your story with the newspaper, which...
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, most of us do. It's ridiculous. We don't even like the paper here. But
listen, for a place that is so tough and the people... Everything on land and the water can kill you. You have the biggest pussies I've ever seen in the media in my life. I saw a story where a guy was like, I saw Dana do a podcast with the Premier, and it physically made me sick. Holy fucking shit. You guys have to have the biggest pussies of all time in the media here. Just for the record, but go ahead, what's the question?
The question is, does anyone in the government at all go, please not Strickland, or does that ever get back to you at all?
I do that. Are you kidding me? I do that. It is what it is. You know my stance on this, you know. We're going to take guys and girls that say a lot of things and do a lot of things. I'm a big believer in free speech. And, you know, it probably seems worse when you come here because your media are such weak human beings. I thought we had weak media. You guys win hands down.
Do you say anything, or do you literally just ignore them? Like, did they actually voice it to you at all?
We were actually laughing about it. We were reading the story in the back and cracking up at that guy. That guy's got to be the biggest fucking wimp on planet Earth.
So no one from the government, though, actually goes full to the side? Okay, cool.
No.
Well, then, fuck those guys.
Even your people know that your fucking media are weak. They even know. They know it. You know it. We all know it now.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Now I know. Good? Have a great night, you guys. And thank you, Australia. You guys are the best. What's up, guys? Gate was 10.2 million. Attendance was 18,370. Sold out. Highest grossing event in arena history and highest grossing MMA event in California. Fight of the night, Merab and Umar. You're in Almeida won. Performance of the night, I'm wheels up at 11:30, so let's keep this short and sweet.
All right. Dana, never ideal with a pay-per-view, main event change on 24 hours notice, but you've done it before. So I guess what was your take on, the
Here's the crazy part. The budget's $7.5 million for the gate. We're at 9.5 when the fight falls out. Fight falls out, we replace it. We end up at 10.2.
Where did it rank in terms of chaos behind it? I mean, it ended up being a windfall for you, but I mean, how chaotic was it? How difficult was it to pull this off?
Every day is chaos in this business. Every day there's something going on. Nobody pulls it off better than we do.
Yeah. Islam goes out there and dominates in the main event. I just want to get your thoughts on his performance and being willing to take this challenge.
Incredible, both guys. I mean, for Moicano to step up and accept this fight on short notice, and obviously, for the champ. I told you, I said it publicly. He said, brother, I am the champion. I'm going to bed. Whoever I'm fighting tomorrow, I don't care. I'll wake up and I'll fight anybody. So came out and did what you're supposed to do in that position and actually like a stud.
I've seen a lot of people say that because of that, Islam deserves some maybe pound-for-pound number one rankings.
He's already the pound-for-pound number one ranking.
But is he yours?
Yeah. I'll give it to him.
Fair enough.
Are you happy? Is everybody happy now?
Yeah, you finally got you. Arman Sarukin, what do you do with him at this point? I mean, do you automatically rebook him in the next title fight? Do you go back to the drawing board?
No. Yeah, he's going back to the drawing board. I don't want anybody to ever fight hurt, ever. We've been in these positions before. Went down there with the doctor. Went down there with Heather from the PI, who is, you can ask any fighter or anybody else. She's the best in the world, and you miss opportunities sometimes, and he did. So we'll see how this plays out for him next year.
You feel like he could have competed?
You
feel like he could have competed tonight?
I have no idea. I don't know that. Only he knows that.
Last thing I wanted to ask you, just get your thoughts on Merab Dvalishvili, that amazing fight with Umar, and kind of where you see Merab at this point.
The pace this guy sets and the output that he has. I was actually a little surprised in the fifth round. He looked like he was fresh and ready to go. I expected him to run through him in the fifth, and he was a little more cautious and whatever, but he looked great. Yeah, Merab absolutely put on an incredible performance tonight.
Dana,
yeah.
Do you feel like you have a problem at the bantamweight division? Because who fights this guy right now? When you look at it, nobody really matches up well with him. Nobody can manage that pace. Like, what do you do in that division to come up with a really good contender at this point?
Yeah, I think we feel that way when guys come off great performances like he has. But we'll see. We'll see what's next. There's always somebody next.
And in terms of Islam, and you saying you think he's number one now, like you had gone for years with Jones because of the longevity. What did Islam do in this fight and maybe his previous fight that you looked at and said that puts him number one?
Yeah, I mean, Islam was willing to fight anybody. He stayed active, and he went out tonight and performed the way a guy should on a short notice fight when you are the best in the world and you're the champion. Yeah.
So John might still have it if he fought Chael at 151?
What's the question?
I said John might still have it if he fought Chael at 151.
Yeah. Don't be dicks. I just admitted I'm giving it to him. He's the pound for pound, all right?
And when he comes, since he had such a quick fight, do you bring him back quicker? Is he a guy that you can use earlier because he was,
I don't know. We'll see what he wants to do. And, like I said, we always sit down and start to plan this stuff out on Tuesdays.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dana right here. With this win tonight, Islam 15 straight wins, second longest in history behind Anderson Silva, and now the most lightweight title defenses. Do you feel like he is the best lightweight we've ever had in this
100%. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's the pound for pound best in the world right now, and he's definitely the best to ever do it in that division.
You announced Craig Pelesian will be going in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, listen, you guys all know the story very well. The Ultimate Fighter is what turned this whole thing around, got people to learn about the sport. And 20 years yesterday, 15 world champions, multiple top 10s and stars. And, Craig deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And looking back on the, how I feel about season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter. So it's cool. And then tonight to look to the left and see Chris Lieben judging fights over there too. Yeah, cool week.
Yeah, and you went with DC and Chael as the tough coaches for the next season.
Yeah.
Obviously they won't be fighting, so it's kind of the thinking of how that would work.
Yeah, you always want people that are going to add value, be able to, teach these kids that come in something new. Both those guys are great. Plus, I'm sure they'll both be great TV too.
And what do you do kind of with Yuri going forward, right? He has the 2 losses, but he beats another former champion in Jamal Hill. There's not too much room in the rankings between him and the top. What do you feel like he has to do to maybe get that third fight with Alex if Alex continues to defend?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We got to see how this plays out with Alex now. And I doubt people don't not want to see that fight again. So we'll see how it plays out.
And just 2 more outside of tonight. Patricio Pitbull, the longtime Bellator champion,
Yeah.
He got a unconditional release from PFL, and he says he badly wants to fight in the UFC. Are you interested in bringing him into the featherweight division?
I don't know. I'll talk to the boys about that, and we'll see where we're at.
Another one is Aaron Pico. Ali Abdelaziz said his exclusive negotiation window, I think, ends this week.
I definitely know the boys are interested in him. Yeah.
And to look ahead to the next pay-per-view, UFC 312, where does Khamzat Chimaev fit into the middleweight division? Do you think he'll get the winner of Strickland and Duplessis, or is he going to fight again before a title shot?
Yeah, I think he probably gets the next shot.
Thank you.
Dana, right over here.
Yep.
So Grant Dawson said he's hoping for a Beneil Dariush fight, that was kind of being talked about. Can we confirm that, or is that anywhere close to being confirmed?
Don't know yet.
All right. Who impressed you the most tonight?
Oh, shit. I mean, it would have to be the co-main and main event. I mean, Marab, the pace he set, how good he looked. I think a lot of people thought he might get out-wrestled by Umar. That was not the case. Oh, and by the way, we didn't even mention this, that he broke George St. Pierre's takedown record, all-time takedowns in UFC. So great night for him, and then obviously Islam came out and delivered. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone surprise you tonight? Maybe Howney Barcelos is like a 7-1.
Yeah. No, that was a great win too, and also Almeida beat the number 7 ranked guy and did it spectacularly. So a lot of guys really had good performances tonight.
How about the girl, Aylin Perez? Is she going to get someone top 10 possibly very soon?
I don't know. We'll see.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Dana
Yeah.
over here. Dana, you've shown a lot of love to the Inland Empire in Anaheim. This was a great event. The Intuit Dome really lit up. Is it safe to say LA County could get more UFC events again in the coming years?
No, we're never coming back here ever again, sir.
Why would
It was
you
a
break
terrible
my
event.
heart?
This place sucked, and we're never coming back. Yes, this place is beautiful. I mean, look how badass this arena is. Look how good it looks on TV. You know what? I'll tell you what I love tonight. So many people came up to me tonight and said, "Thank you for not pulling this fight out of L.A. L.A. needs this, and we needed this." And obviously, when you look at the gate and everything about tonight was awesome. And yes, we will be back to L.A.
Thank you so much. Charles Oliveira was a very prominent part of Fight Week. With Arman now back to the drawing board, is it safe to say he's the front runner maybe for Islam at 155?
No clue. We'll figure that out on Tuesday.
Dana,
And then finally, Rainier de Ritter had a great victory. Caio Bahayo's on a roll. Hamzat's on a roll. Can you just talk about where RDR fits into middleweight and just how that division is shaping up right now?
Yeah, you look good. I have no clue. Figure that out on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana over here.
Yep.
Craig Piligian gets inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame, first Armenian inducted, especially to announce that in Los Angeles. Obviously, Arman's not fighting, but still you had a lot of Armenians in the crowd. Just talk to me about, what that moment was like, and also tell us a little bit about you and Craig's relationship.
Yeah, it literally just fell this way that, we're here and the Armenian, the whole thing just sort of landed on tonight. But yeah, I mean, I've had a 20-year history with Piligian, a 20-year relationship with him, and he's one of the best, producers of television in Hollywood. And we lied to him tonight on why he was here. I asked him to come to. He had no idea that was going to happen, and he was pretty excited about it. So
Did you talk to him afterwards?
He was with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Final question I have to ask you. You said going back to the drawing board with Arman. Kind of tell us about what that looks like. What are you going to kind of envision?
I don't know. He's not getting a title shot, so that means he's going to have to fight his way back to the title. Thank you.
Dana, you said that the UFC was going to come here definitely, but Vegas was a backup with the fires.
Right.
Can you tell us how crazy that situation was?
It wasn't at all. We were coming here no matter what. Listen, you have to have a backup. You're a fool if you don't back it up and something really goes wrong. But we go. We're going. We went through COVID. We go. We were coming here no matter what.
There wasn't a time where
Never.
Let's see what's happening to. Okay.
Never.
And you're catching a plane. Where are you going? DC?
I'm going to DC. Yeah.
Can you tell us what you think this means for the country after the next couple of days when Trump becomes?
It doesn't suck. I can tell you that. I'm really happy about it, and I love him. I'm really happy for him, and he's actually he'll be here on Friday. I talked to him this morning. He says he's coming to California on Friday, and wants to help out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dana,
yes, sir.
Dana, did you see two former rivals, Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker? They filmed an episode together, and they were training together. What'd you think of that?
I didn't know that. That's fascinating. Very cool.
And one more from me, another middleweight, former UFC middleweight, Darren Till. He won a Misfits boxing match today by.
I saw that on the internet. Yeah, I saw that. I never heard of the guy he fought, but I guess he's a tough guy, and it was a big deal that Till beat him the way he beat him.
Yeah.
Dana over here. After the Umar fight, you had a short conversation with Khabib. Did he think Umar won somehow? Maybe he was hoping he won. And what's next for Umar?
I'm sure he was. We didn't talk about that. I told him great fight, and he said thank you. I don't know what's next for Umar.
Hi, Dana.
Yeah.
Over here. For the French people, do you have any update regarding the fight between Manon Fiorot and Valentina Shevchenko?
What's the question?
For the French people,
yeah.
For the title between Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot, is there going to be a fight?
Did we announce it? No?
That was the question.
Okay. We'll announce it. When we do it, we'll announce it. Thank you.
Dana, right here?
Yeah.
After Merab was announced as the winner, he walked straight to you and had some words that he shared with you.
Yeah, he and I have had a kind of a goofy relationship. So he was just saying, listen, I love the UFC. Thank you for everything. And, he was going crazy. I said, talk to Joe. You and I will talk later. So,
well, when you say goofy relationship, what is it?
It's been pretty public how goofy our relationship is. He's done some things that I didn't love, and I don't dislike him at all. It's just we've had some moments. But that's typical. I have moments with everybody, so
okay,
no biggie.
Was part of this, he was vocal about wanting to wait 2 more months, and then Khabib had said in an interview that he thought that Merab was pressured into taking this fight. How was the negotiation getting him to take this fight
when you
Well,
wanted it this month?
If Merab was pressured into taking this fight, it worked out for him.
What was that all about? Like, was he injured or
Who?
Merab?
I don't know. Ask Merab about that.
Yeah, I'll ask him about that. And then the last thing I wanted to ask real quick, toward the end of last year, you had said that you had a meeting that you were going to have to fix the UFC rankings, and we never really followed up or heard from you what that meeting was. Can you tell us what those plans are?
We're still working on it, and actually we should be announcing that next few weeks, right? Yeah, like 2-3 weeks.
Little tease. Does it have anything to do with AI?
Yeah, and some
Meta?
other stuff too.
Meta?
I think we have a good plan in place, and when we're ready to unveil it, we will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana, here.
Yeah.
Dana, los mexicanos están un poquito acostumbrados, la afición mexicana acostumbrada a ver a algún peleador mexicano en este tipo de eventos. Un mensaje para esa gente con respecto también a lo que se viene este año para los peleadores mexicanos.
You know, all the Mexican people are so used to actually having Mexican fighters at an event like this against East California. Any messages as to what's going on for Mexico this year? What's in store for Mexican fighters and Mexico?
You know, it's funny. That's a great point, sir. We were talking about that a couple days ago, or today, or yesterday, or whenever the hell it was. We were basically saying, can you imagine that we're in Los Angeles with two Dagestani guys, a guy from Georgia and a guy from Brazil are the co-main and main event. The place sold out, breaking records, and the arena's going fucking crazy. This was unheard of. You know, you would have had to come here with De La Hoya or some boxers from Mexico back in the day, but it's just a testament to how much the sport has grown and how you don't have to have, guys from certain areas to roll into different cities. It's actually fascinating. But what was his question?
Plans for Mexico this year. Mexican fighters, Mexico.
We're going to Mexico City this year, and you know how invested I am in Mexico. PI, the whole deal. Lots of good things for Mexico this year.
Hey,
Good?
Dana. Just in the middle, towards the back. Last year, you told us early this year you'd have an announcement to make about entering boxing. Are you close to making that announcement?
No. There's stories being written out there, but no.
In the New York Times with a boxing league with Turki Al-Sheikh.
Yeah, I saw that article.
What did you make of it?
I think that the article was incredibly premature, and if there was a deal done, it would have been announced. You would have had quotes from me. No quotes from me or UFC or anything. So
once the Apex has had its expansion, could we see boxing at the Apex?
I think you can see a lot of things at the Apex after the expansion. The Apex is going to be badass when it's done. It's like a $26 to $30 million expansion, so it's going to be very nice.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you, sir.
Dana, you mentioned just Los Angeles. It was a great turnout. Unfortunately, Tsarukyan's fans didn't get to see their guy fight. Would you want to?
Who didn't?
Tsarukyan.
Yeah.
A lot of Armenian fans wanted to see him tonight. You really didn't get to see that from a fan base standpoint. Would you want to bring him back like a fight night at the Honda Center, just to bring him back to Southern California for him to get that opportunity?
I don't know what we're going to do with him next. I don't know what's next. We'll see. We're sitting right here, right now. I have no idea. Cool. Good night, everybody. Thanks. The attendance was 18,648. Gate was 5 million. We got 4 performers of the night bonuses: Kennedy Hooper, Luque, and Pantoja. They all won 50,000.
Hey, Dana.
What's up, buddy?
First of all, what was your take on Pantoja's call out? Like that, it seemed a little strange call out of Demetrius Johnson after.
Oh, is that a week? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he said that I'm the GOAT, and if you want to prove you're still the GOAT, come fight me. Is that something you would entertain even?
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah. Listen, you know how I was the one beating the drum about Demetrius Johnson a long time ago, and I don't know.
What was your take on his Pantoja's performance?
He looked
tonight?
incredible.
Did you feel like, he went out there right off the bat and pressured Asakura, a guy that has a reputation as a knockout fighter, to try to take that aspect away from him?
Well, there's 2 sides to this story. You take a guy like Asakura who came in, in the UFC your first time. We talk about the jitters, all the things that happen. First time fighting in a cage, et cetera, et cetera. And he came in guns a-blazing, flying knee, like right out the gate. And then Pantoja, how he put the pressure back on him. Who in this room didn't want to see 3 more rounds of that? You know what I mean? It would have been amazing. It was a great fight. And Pantoja went out and dominated.
Yeah, and Pantoja's now beaten Brandon Rouvol, Brandon Moreno, and now this guy. So certainly he has starting to build that kind of resume up where now all of a sudden you got to talk about him as one of the greats in the game. You get to 3 title defenses in the UFC. That's pretty significant, is it not?
I agree.
Where do you think he ranks in terms of the the great flyweight champions you've had? Moreno had a great run. Davison was great. Obviously, we know about DJ. Where do you think Alexandre rates right now?
Well, I mean, to say, I mean, right here off the top of my head, I don't know. He's awesome. He looked incredible tonight, and, I don't know.
What was your take on, I thought Ian Machado Gary was great in terms of his takedown defense and the way he fought, short notice fight. What was your take on that fight, and were you impressed by Shavkat?
Yeah, it's one of those fights. I'll give you an example, too, like Landwehr versus Choi. On paper, they go in the middle of the octagon, just start slugging it out, and, sometimes they don't play out the way you think. 15-0 versus 18-0. What that means, you have 2 really great fighters with a lot at stake. There's a title on the line, and you saw a lot of great things from both guys during that fight. It wasn't a knockdown, drag 'em out war, but I will tell you this: thank God it was 5 rounds. 5 rounds was the way to do that fight.
A couple other things I just wanted to ask you about. Number one, I was going to ask you this yesterday about. Is this the best year in the company history? You had 5 of the top 10 gates in UFC history were this year. 299, 300, 303, 306, 309. Your highest gate ever at a fight night card in Edmonton, which apparently you may break next week. Do you feel that makes this the greatest year in UFC history?
We say this every year. Every year we say this is the best year. How do we do better next year? I mean, this is literally what we say every year. How are you going to beat this year? We just keep doing it. I don't know. But yes, and guess what? Last year was the best year in UFC history, and the year before that was. Let's keep it rolling.
What criteria do you judge that by? Is it just bottom line finances, or are there other...
It's everything. I mean, you take everything in. The Sphere. Who saw that coming? Every year we something happens that we didn't see coming, right? And... yeah, obviously, financially, it goes to another level. Creatively, I think it goes to another level. And, you talk about things like breaking merch records and, et cetera, et cetera. I like to break records. Right now, when we talked about New York, we're 7 of the top 10. By the time we go there, again, this next coming year, we'll be 8 of the top 10. And eventually, in the next couple of years, we'll be 10 of the top 10. So, think about that. No. When you think about that, Madison Square Garden, we weren't allowed to go into New York. The most famous arena in the world, all the big events that have been there. Within the next couple of years, the UFC will be 10 of the top 10 gates of all time at Madison Square Garden. And we broke most of the gates around the world, their records everywhere we go. So...
we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the thing about Conor McGregor came down. Any reaction that you have since the conviction in the civil court and the penalties he faced?
What do you mean? What's my reaction?
Do you have any comment about what his...
If I had a comment, I would have put it out already.
What about his status with the UFC?
He hasn't been fighting here in I don't know how long.
But there's been, you announced him at 303. There's been talk he's going to fight.
Right.
I mean, does that impact him in any way, or?
Well, if he does fight, it'll be sometime next year.
Okay. All right. And then finally, were you PO'd at Merab for something yesterday? You seemed like you were upset about something that was going on at that press conference. Was there something with the heat between the guys that had you...
That I was pissed off?
Yeah. Were you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought the press conference was awesome.
Right.
I thought the heat between him and Umar was great. So I was not supposed to be in Los Angeles for this fight coming up, for this pay-per-view fight. I have to fly somewhere and do something that is really important, and I'm moving it. I'm going to Los Angeles. That's how pissed off I was. Yeah.
Dana, when you look at the complexion of tonight's card, coming off of 309 with such a headliner, the depth as far as quality or quantity, I think you had both tonight. Can you just talk about it up and down with the matches? As far as you come off of a card with John Jones, this one it seems like from the preliminary to the co-mains to the main card, it seemed like it was action packed from top to bottom, where you didn't need the big headliner.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great card, but I love the head. Listen, this might be one of those fights that you don't think is a big headliner. Kevin's over there talking about, is this guy, one of the greats of all time? He fought another guy who was a champion in another organization that comes over from Japan. When you think about what that fight meant, had Kai won tonight, you know how big that would have been in Japan, and we'd be talking, even with the performance he had tonight, we're talking about possibly going and doing a fight in Japan now. So I wouldn't say that there wasn't, whether you call it a big headliner, not every card is John Jones, but to say that Pantoja isn't a, he's asking me right now if he's the best ever.
Dana, front, right here. Right here. We had a couple losses for some veterans, Clay Guida, Chris Weidman, Anthony Smith. You've made it known that you thought Chris should have hung it up a couple fights ago. Anthony, couldn't really hold in the tears when he was walking out, and then Clay is, I think, 40-something. What do you do with those three?
They all retire tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you won't offer them any more fights, or you'll just kind of...
They should all retire tonight.
And then what did you make of the Crone-Bryce Mitchell fight? Because in Crone's last fight, you were pretty critical of him. You said it was limited. Even Crone said it was the biggest mistake to kind of come in with one tool. Bryce knocked him cold with an elbow off the top. So just what did you make of Crone's performance and his future with the company?
So wait a minute. What's your question? So you're asking me, you're saying Crone looked really limited last time he fought, and he looked limited tonight. What's your opinion on?
I didn't think he was limited tonight.
No? What did you think?
I thought he had a better game plan than the fight he had against Charles Jourdain. Because Bryce Mitchell's just had the answers for it.
Okay. So you're like, what do you think about Weidman, this guy, and that guy tonight? I said they should retire. What do you think about Crone? Yeah. No, I don't like the way you're leading me down this road. I know what you're doing. You know the answer to the question, but you just want me to say it or something. You're saying Crone looked limited. What do you think? Do you have any other questions you want to ask me? Anything fucking positive, or you want me to shit on everybody on the card tonight?
I was going to ask, my last one was going to be about Mavzar. What you thought of his performance in there?
About who?
Mavzar. He won against Aljamain. The fight.
Looked great. Congrats to him.
Dana, how did you score the Cyril Gane-Volkov fight?
I thought Volkov won the fight.
Look, I'm not going to try to shit on her particularly, but Adelaide Bird scored it for him, right? This is a name we've heard. But my point really is these judges who've shown bad decisions time and time again, is there anything we can do with the commission to say, like, hey, can they be re-educated, if not moved?
So here's what happened after that fight. You heard the boos. I went over to Volkov. I apologized to him. I thought he won the fight. And then the head of the commission came over and said, listen, we feel like that second round was really close and, could have gone either way. And both guys got rocked. We thought that, we thought that, what did they think? That I can't remember which one they thought had the worst of it in the second round. But, they were making the argument on why the fight was judged the way it was. I had a problem with the battle fight, too.
Do you agree with their argument when you heard them out, or do you still maintain that you think Volkov should have probably got the decision?
It doesn't fucking matter what I think. It really doesn't, because at the end of the day, they decide who wins and loses, not us.
There was an incident with Merab and a fan tonight. I mean, that stuff happens, especially with Merab, to be honest. But I was more curious about your opinion on his mindset this week, right? Seems pretty pissed off at a lot of stuff. Going after Umar yesterday, the press conference, he was freaking out a lot. What do you make of his mindset towards his fight with Umar right now?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. I mean, listen, it's already, Merab's that guy. He's that guy. This isn't his first altercation. I don't know if you guys noticed at the press conference yesterday, too. To the right, somebody yelled something. He's in the middle of the conversation. He looked like he's trying to see who said that. Like, what, you're going to run over there and you're going to fight this guy, too? It's the way he is. He's built that way. And I don't know if you saw, but he wasn't sitting in the regular fighter section. We had to move him over. I had to move the other two guys over at our table. It's, we try to diffuse this stuff before it happens. And tonight we had a good game plan. I didn't think he'd get into a fight walking out with Aljamain, but.
Do you think there's a chance he's kind of intimidated by this Umar fight, though, right? He seems to really not want this fight or doesn't feel like Umar deserves it. Do you think there's some mind games going on here, or do you think Umar might be in his head?
Listen, I don't think that any of these guys are afraid of anybody. I'm sure there's certain guys they'd rather wait to fight, and, you know, they all have their reasons or whatever, but to say that Merab's fighting people in the fucking stands, okay? Merab would get in a fight in the middle of the fighter section. That's why we moved him over to the left. So I wouldn't say that any of these guys are afraid of anybody or any fight. But, you know, fighters are a paranoid bunch. You know, there's always some conspiracy against them, whether it's us or other people. Or we make fights that people want to see. They win or lose the fights on their own. But they are conspiracy theory. They always think that somebody is against them. And maybe that's what they need to do to have that mental thing to go out and do what they do.
Speaking of conspiracy theorists, did you tell Bryce Mitchell fuck seatbelts after his fight?
Yeah. He said, I love you. This is the only organization that lets us speak our mind and be who we are and everything else. And I said, fuck seatbelts, buddy.
Last one from me. Kevin sort of went through the list of guys that Pantoja has beaten in this division. Considering he's beaten a lot of them, do you think Kai Kara-France makes the most sense for him because that's the one guy he hasn't beaten twice already?
I don't know. We'll see.
Dana, right back here.
Yep. Go ahead. Let this guy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's not the first time that's happened with Merab. Is there anything you guys do or can do to prevent that? Are there any repercussions? Or
He's my mini Strickland without the mouth. What do you do? Let him buy the pay-per-view, I guess. I mean, I don't know. You can't keep fighting with fucking fans. It's going to cost you a lot. You can do it. It's going to cost you a lot of money, right? And, you know, I don't know. Listen, man, I say it all the time. We're in the fucking fight business. This happens. We got to deal with it. Tonight we tried. I took Islam. We took Islam and we took, Poirier. Not Poirier. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't, but you do. Took them out, put them at the table, moved Merab over to the other side, had Umar and his crew over in the middle, and we still had problems. We still couldn't, you know. We do our best. I didn't even know Nate Diaz was coming yesterday, threw a water bottle at Islam, I don't know why. But listen, if you guys knew fucking this much of what goes on behind the scenes, you would wonder why we do this for a living.
Dana, back here.
Yeah.
Dana, originally Tatiana Suarez was supposed to be on the card against Virna Jandiroba. You guys announced Strickland Duplessis 2, Zhang Weili, Tatiana. Was the reason she was pulled from the card because you guys wanted her for the title fight next February?
I have no idea. Does it matter?
No, I think it's
Okay.
a great fight. I'm ready
Thank you,
for it
sir.
already.
We appreciate it.
Next one. You've talked a lot about being critical. Los Angeles getting back to where it was and being one of those markets. Obviously, going to LA, just what made now the time to finally bring the UFC back to Los Angeles specifically instead of Anaheim?
The Intuit Dome.
That's a very new venue. Do you guys have any plans to use any of the new just features that arena has ahead of the fight?
We'll lose none of them, no.
And then finally, Cosm in Los Angeles nearby. Experienced it. It's almost as good as the Sphere if you have a great seat. Can you just talk about that partnership in LA, because that's quite the venue if you've never seen fights over there.
Great question. Yes. It's if you have not seen any sporting event, not just the UFC at Cosm, it is a very cool experience. If you're not going to the event live and you're not having a bunch of people over your house, it is a very, very cool way to watch any sporting event. It's fascinating.
Thank you.
Dana?
Yep.
Dana?
Yep. Go ahead. Middle guy right here. Yeah.
Dana, thank you so much for announcing the Islam Tsarukyan fight in Los Angeles. I just wanted to ask, I think it's going to be one of the biggest events for the last couple of years. I wanted to ask, did you ever plan to make that tournament in Saudi Arabia? Because Islam mostly fights there, a couple Dagestani fights in the card. Did you ever think about making that fight over there, or why you specifically chose Los Angeles? Because of Armenia fans, or like...
Well, a lot of things have to line up in timing, and we were going to Los Angeles, and you start looking at what are the best fights to make. You know, it doesn't suck throwing an Armenian on a card, and the list goes on and on. It was the perfect card for LA. Like I just told the other guy. The Intuit Dome is badass. We're excited to go into that venue. I think that, those are the type of venues you're going to start seeing being built with all this technology and cool shit to do.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yeah.
Dan.
Go ahead.
How close was Hamzat to getting the title shot against DDP in Australia?
How close was it?
Yeah.
I mean, guys, what are you fucking? Is this tonight's stupid question night? How close was he to getting?
I'm asking you because after his win against Robert Whittaker, you said he might be next, right? So
Right.
I was just.
He's not next.
Gotcha.
How close was he? I don't know. I mean, we sit in a room every Tuesday and we pick fights.
Was he in the conversation too?
He's always in the conversation. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana in the back.
Yes. Well, let this guy go first. He got jumped over here twice. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Dana. Duo Choi said there are so many UFC fans in Korea, and he wishes someday they're gonna be had a UFC game in the Korea. The last time when the UFC hold a game at the Korea was 2019. Do you have any plan to had another game at the Korea?
He's asking me if we're going back to Korea. So I was supposed to go to Korea this week for looking for a fight for the Korean Zombie show. And then, there was some unrest going on over there. So our global security said we shouldn't go there right now. And we're figuring out another way to do this with the Zombie for his show next weekend. But the answer is yes. If we don't end up there with a fight, I am going to Korea in 2025 to do another show with the Korean Zombie.
I mean, do you have any plan for?
Yes, we will eventually get back to Korea. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
In the back. So you had Power Slap this week, and it looked like in the Fountain Blue that audience size had almost doubled from the last time that you were there. You have the card coming up in Saudi. How important is that opportunity to grow Power Slap, and what are you seeing as a difference from how Power Slap has grown from the early days of what UFC had to go through?
I literally just had this conversation with Forbes today, and yes, when you look at Power Slap, you can't go back in the future ever, and it feels like I am with rebuilding the UFC. It's almost identical, except so much faster. And in less than 2 years, that company is ahead of where the UFC was in 10 years.
Why?
So it's been fun. The thing did 2.9 million views last night. Obviously, it was super successful, inside the arena. And I'm excited to go to Saudi, and we're about to announce a couple of new big deals with Power Slap in the next month or so.
Just one more for me. Vinny Pazienza was announced as a 2024 International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. We know that you inducted him here in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. How important was it to finally get him recognized in the International Hall?
I love that guy, and I'm really happy for him. I know it was very important to him. He wanted to be inducted in the Boxing Hall of Fame before he, passes away. So he's ecstatic. I'm really happy for him, and it couldn't happen to a better dude. I love Vinny.
Dana, to your right.
Thank
over
you.
Here.
Yep.
You've always had a good relationship with Saki Gabara, obviously.
Mhm.
And, putting this fight together with Kai, a big deal with him. I'm curious, is there any possibility now of maybe bringing over other possible champions from their organization to the UFC you've been talking about?
Yeah, I would. We did it tonight. He had a good performance. I would love to do it. And obviously, having these up and coming. So we were just talking in my room, and he's saying now that in Japan, all of these young guys now want to be the first one to win a world title in the UFC. So that's exciting. There's such a rich history of MMA in Japan, and some of the best days of my life were our rivalry with Pride, and it was a really fun time in my life. So, and in his too. We were talking about it. So the answer is yes to all of that. And I'd love to go do a fight night there too.
Well, if I could make a suggestion, you were recently teasing, interest in the atomweight division. If you're going to start, they have the best in the world right there. The perfect person to start the division with, Seika Izawa.
Thank you, sir.
I got you.
No, I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Dana, so UFC flyweight Charles Johnson, he's starting a slap fighting promotion. I know he spoke to you about it. He hopes it could be like a place to recruit fighters for power slap. What do you think about that being a potential minor leagues for power slap?
I love it. No, they're popping up everywhere. There's a couple down in Brazil. There's some over in Poland. There's one now starting in South Africa. And the list goes on and on. So, yeah, listen, it's no different than the UFC. You know, when we all started, like we were just talking about Pride in Japan, you know, we first bought the UFC, there were several organizations, and then they all started popping up left and right after we got involved. And it's never a bad thing for the sport. It's always a good thing.
Dana right here.
Yep.
You had the World MMA Awards, Power Slap, FPI, and now UFC 310 tonight. What a hectic week. Can you just talk about, you know, the behind the scenes of your week?
No, it was a cool week, man. You know, Fighters Only, I commend them for doing that award show. I know that isn't cheap. It's not easy. He lives in England, and, you know, it's a good night for the people who are involved in the sport. So I'm a big supporter of it, and I always will be. It was a fun weekend.
And just one.
Yep.
I know you mentioned you can't go to South Korea anymore for the Korean Zombies show, but Dorobshok Nabotov, the guy who asked you for a contract at the press conference, he's actually on that card. He's fighting Mateus Camilo.
So what I just said to him is, I'm actually going to do Looking for a Fight, and we're going to do it via satellite from Florida next weekend. So, you know, I had lunch with the Zombie the other day, and he was all bummed out. He's like, this card's badass. I got people that should be in the UFC on this card, and I love the Korean Zombie, so we're going to figure this thing out. It's going to be different than the normal show, but we're still filming this episode of Looking for a Fight.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, because there's some talent on that card, and so I'm assuming
100%.
I wanted to see if you guys can sign those guys.
Yep, we're doing it. Yep.
And one more
Yes,
question
sir.
about UFC events 2025, specifically in Brazil. Can we expect an event there next year?
Can you expect an
Brazil?
event in Brazil in 2025? In Brazil in 2025, are we expecting an event there?
Are we expecting? Yes, we'll be doing an event in Brazil. In 25, yes. Yeah, I understand. Got it.
Where?
Yes. Where?
Where in Brazil?
I don't know, sir. We're coming, though. Guy behind him, yeah.
Dana, Tatsuro Taira of Japan lost in the cross match, and today Kai Asakura lost. Does it change the possibility of UFC Japan 2025?
The fact that Kai lost today, does it change the possibility of still doing a UFC in Japan next year?
Yeah. Here, translate to him that I just said that about 5 seconds ago. Yes. Yes, sir. I would love to do a fight night there. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, kid. What's up?
So tonight, Cyril Gane had a strange win against Alexander Volkov. In France, he used to be the closest French fighter to get a belt in the UFC. Right now, in France, we all think that the closest to the belt is Manon Fiorot. Will you give her title shot soon against Valentina Shevchenko?
Cyril Gane tonight won a weird victory against Volkov. In France, he was the closest to the title. Now the next French person that's closest to the title is Manon Fiorot. Will you give her a chance to fight Valentina Shevchenko next year for the title?
Yeah, no, she is right there, and the answer is yes, she will be fighting for a title. I don't know when, right here, right now, but the answer is yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Dana, right in the middle.
Yep.
Patricio Pitbull said earlier this week that he wants to leave the PFL and he would like to sign with the UFC. Is he someone you'd like to see on the roster?
Who said that?
Patricio Pitbull.
Oh, Pitbull. Listen, the last couple months we've been talking a lot about the PFL. You know, they're canceling a lot of shows. I know that a lot of guys that are supposed to fight aren't fighting, and I mean, you guys know what the fuck's going on. I'm not. You know, when you see that start to happen, you're running out of money. Things aren't looking good, and you're going to have people that want to jump ship. You know, these guys want to fight. You have a very limited time of opportunity when you're a professional athlete, and even less when you're a fighter. So I'm sure you're going to see a lot of that, and we'll see how this plays out over the next several months going into 25.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll see you in Florida. What's up, gang? Attendance was 20,200 The gate was 16.7 million, second highest grossing event ever. Number 4 highest. What does it say? Number 4 highest. I don't know what it is. We did something good at number 4. So we hold number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9 all time here. Oliveira and Chandler, John Jones, Brahimos and Elliott. We gave them both. They all got 50,000. It was hard to pick between all those fights, so they all get 50,000. Congrats to them. Oh, 4th highest all time ever. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Well, Dana, from here, we have start with the main event, John Jones. Obviously, you've been singing his praises forever. This is the greatest fighter ever. But to do that to Stipe and just turn him off with a spinning back kick of everything, just what was your reaction to what we saw?
And the kicks that started right from the jump, hurt him with the first kick. This guy's fight IQ is off the charts. And, you know, everybody going to admit now that he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world? And let me tell you what, this thing had upset written all over it, too. I mean, Stipe, all the talk about John Jones, Stipe seemed pissed, focused, and, you know, he came here to win. He looked good. He was physically in great shape. The list goes on, and John literally picked him apart. The jab was unbelievable tonight. How he was kicking the legs and the body. Every time he kicked the body, I thought it was over. And then he would go for the head kick and slipping punches. I mean, he's going to be 38 years old this summer. He looked incredible. I just don't know how any of you don't see that this guy's the fucking greatest fighter in the history of fucking people fighting. He's 37 going on 38. And again, tonight, he went in and did what he did. He's fucking unbelievable. And as long as he's active, he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
So moving forward, what do you do? Like, as obviously you said, you want him to fight Tom next, and you said that could just be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time.
It will be.
Yeah. And John was on the post-fight thing. He said he wants to be well compensated because he saw what Jake and Mike.
He will be.
So when do you actually meet with him? Is that a Tuesday conversation, or is it get back?
I got Tom waiting outside for me right now, and John, you let John do John. John's going to disappear. Not only will you not hear about him or what he's doing, neither will I. And then he will resurface, and he'll call, and we'll get it done.
And Stipe, he was very blunt. He said he's retiring. He's hanging it up. So I guess what are your thoughts of Stipe's career and what we saw from him in there? Because Daniel said he looked kind of slow, maybe a little sluggish, but he was landing some shots in there.
He looked slow after he took the kicks to the body. He looked slow. Listen, don't say Stipe. Stipe was in fucking great shape. He came in and he was here to win, and John Jones systematically fucking picked him apart. His fight IQ is off the charts. It is hard talking to people who 99.9% of the media don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to fighting. Amen. Thank you, sir.
And what do you make of Stipe's career now that he's officially hung it up?
He's had an incredible career, and it doesn't diminish who he was at heavyweight and what he's accomplished here. When you think about Stipe, he's made a lot of money. He's been a firefighter. He'll retire with his pension and all the things. Stipe is going to have a great life.
In the co-main event, obviously, another fight of the night for Michael Chandler. He was pretty adamant, beat Charles, go on to fight for the title and everything. Real weird 5th round of, a lot of blows to the back of the head. A lot of your fighters online seemed very confused why the referee wasn't, saying anything about that. Just what did you make of just all the weirdness we saw in that?
Yeah, the reffing lately has been weird. The judging has been weird lately, and I don't disagree with you. I saw a fight tonight that should have been stopped earlier, and it's just, it's...
What do you do with Charles? He's pretty adamant that he wants to be cage side for that Islam and Arman fight whenever that happens.
Then we fly him in from Brazil and sit him cage side for that fight.
Sure. And just a couple other unrelated to the top 2 fights. The gloves that went back to the old, that's a permanent move? You're just going to shelve the newer one?
Yeah, it's a permanent move, but the problem is we don't have enough of the old gloves, so until we can get them all done, that's it.
Are you going to go back to the gold gloves for the championship fight, just black permanently?
You know what? There were good intentions with the new gloves. We spent a lot of time, energy, and money on them. There were good intentions. Didn't work out, and it is what it is.
Another big win for Jim Miller. He said that he wants to get to 50 total UFC fights and then hard stop on his career, and you can hold him to that, he says.
Deal.
And just one final one I do have to ask you about. Your friend Mike Tyson tweeted that he almost died over the summer. He said, he had a bunch of blood transfusions, just had to fight to get healthy, and then his performance yesterday against Jake Paul. Just your thoughts on what we saw.
Mike Tyson was right, and I was wrong. When you guys know the whole story about Shark Week, and if you don't, I begged him not to do the Roy Jones fight. You're too old. I love you. I don't want to see you take any more punishment. So I set him up on Shark Week. He got paid good money, and he's like, you fucking. So he almost flipped out the last day and was ready to kill everybody on the boat because he had to jump in with all these sharks again in the middle of Florida. And he's like, this fucking asshole says that he cares about me and everything else. I've been fighting since I was 12. And he throws me in the fucking ocean with a bunch of sharks. He was right about that, too. But he basically said, I told him, Mike, you're basically 60 years old. And he's like, you honestly think this fucking kid's going to do anything to me? He's not good. He's not going to fucking knock me out. He's not going to do this. And you saw him. He tripped when he was walking down the thing. He had a hard time walking up the stairs. He had a knee brace on. And Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him. He made a ton of money, and I know people are mad. You stayed home on a Saturday night, but you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? And, Mike, this is what Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson shows up, everybody makes money, Jake Paul is, I don't have to tell you guys. You guys know. Mike Tyson is the A+++ side of that thing. And he was right. Jake Paul couldn't do shit to him. He was right, and I was wrong.
When you say the Tom John fight would be the biggest of all time, you're talking even bigger than the Brock Lesnar days at heavyweight as well.
Be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history by a long shot.
When you look at that fight stylistically, right, as you said, John, still amazing, still incredibly varied attacks, great IQ, but it would seem that Tom's advantage would be in the speed. When you look at that fight, how do you break it down, and how do you think that could play out?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what John's going to do. John's one of those guys that I was saying earlier has the highest fight IQ. He's like fucking Elon Musk in the octagon, okay? This guy is brilliant in there, and the things that he pulls off, like you didn't see any of the spinning elbows tonight that he does normally. He did all different shit tonight. I'm sure he sat down and watched Stipe's tapes, and I don't know what he'll do with Aspinall.
Michael Chandler Charles getting his back and him doing the slams into it, obviously not advisable, but did you enjoy that as a spectator?
I'm sorry. What did you ask me?
I said, did you enjoy when Chandler threw himself backwards with Charles on his back?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Obviously, look, I think he's 2-3 now in the UFC, but every time he goes out there, right, puts on a crazy show. He's one of those fighters that I'm sure you just love to have around, regardless of his win-loss record.
Yeah, I mean, he's like an Arturo Gatti, man. He's one of those guys. Win, lose, or draw, you're never bummed out at the end of a Michael Chandler fight.
Last one for me. Look, I know that you got to let John do John and go and disappear for a while. But do you have to have a time limit on it for those negotiations? Because obviously Tom's been at...
Of course.
Yeah. Do you have any idea when you sort of think like, hey, come on?
No.
Dana right here. Dana right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey. No. Yeah. There you go. Hey.
Hey, Dana. Congratulations on another great night.
Thank you, sir.
Obviously, when you come to New York, it's always a huge card. Best city in the world. Tons of celebrities. We got the great Kid Rock right here.
Yep.
He came to Iraq in 2004 when I was in the Army. Did a free concert, so I want to publicly thank him for that.
Yeah, nobody loves the troops more than Kid Rock does, man. Kid Rock does so much stuff for the troops and for this country. He's a good man.
Yeah. With that said, do you ever think about, instead of doing the card just in November, maybe do 2 cards in New York a year?
Yeah, here's the thing. As we go into 25, there's a lot of places that we haven't been pre-COVID, right? And there were places that I didn't want to go until everything started to get back to normal. It's like New York City, you're not wrong, is one of the greatest cities on earth, right? Since I've been here the last 2 days, this place feels like New York City again. Like people everywhere, packed, shopping, eating out. There's just a good energy here again, man, and it felt really good. But in 25, we'll probably just come back here once, even though I'd love to come back here more. But there's cities that I'm going to go to next year that we haven't been to in a while. I'm going to do Chicago. I'm going to do Seattle. I'm going to do, a few other places in 25.
So obviously this was a big pay-per-view. Your next pay-per-view, you have the flyweight title fight. You have Kai Asakara in the main event, UFC newcomer. Two-part question, being that a lot of people who don't follow outside of the UFC might not know who he is. Are you worried about not attracting as much fans? But second part, he hasn't fought at flyweight in 7 years.
Yeah.
Was that any of the discussion when you decided that he'd get the title shot?
Yeah. First of all, for people to know who he is and be excited to see him fight, that's my job. Number one. Number two, no, that wasn't. It's very typical for Japan. You know what I mean? They always fight higher than they probably should. But when you come over here, there's a whole nother ball game here. You know, the literally the best in the world are here. But we love this kid, and we think it's going to be an exciting, fun fight.
And my last question, this is your first pay-per-view since Donald Trump won the election. I know he's a close friend of you. But from a business side, how does that change the UFC? Is it positive for the UFC with him being the president, or does it not change anything?
I think it's positive for the world, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, no matter what side of the fence you sit on politically, you cannot deny that there's almost like this weight that's been lifted off the country right now, and this sigh of relief. And things are already getting better. He's not even in there yet. So, yeah.
Dana,
I know most of the people in the room disagree with me, but yeah.
Dana, when you...
I got one guy back there that's supporting everything I say tonight. Thank you, sir.
Dana, when you heard the crowd's reaction after Bo won and they were booing and chanting overrated, just how did you kind of process that?
Well, you know, we've had these discussions with Bo. You know, Bo needs work. Bo's an up-and-coming guy. I know he has big aspirations and wants to move faster than he should, but tonight showed that he still dominated. I mean, he won the whole fight, but he's got work to do. It's all right. We'll move him. And when you're in a position like Bo is, there's a lot of expectations, you know. And did you see the size of Craig? I mean, the guy's a fucking monster. The president looked at me and said, "These guys are in the same weight class?" Because he loves Bo Nickel. So I said, "Yeah, they are. It's crazy."
And then on the Chandler side of it, afterwards, you're right, he eventually calls out Conor McGregor again. Like, do you even go down that road? Like,
who did? Bo?
No, Chandler.
Oh, Chandler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that like a waste at this point?
Conor's going to come back late 25, so there's a lot of time before we figure out who's going to fight Conor.
Dana right here.
Tonight, some interesting records, right? Jim Miller, 27 UFC wins, the most. John Jones, the first to have a 20-fight unbeaten streak. Charles Oliveira, the first to get 20 bonuses in the UFC. Which one of those is most impressive to you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. They're all impressive in their own ways. I mean, if you look at an older guy like Jim doing what he's doing still at the level he's doing it, that's obviously super impressive. And then, I mean, John Jones, you guys don't even want to fucking hear it, but and then Oliveira, yeah, he's such a beast, man. The kid's incredible. They're all great in their own way.
For sure. And John has made it clear in kind of the interviews he's done, he wants to be well compensated for this Tom fight. And I know the last time this was kind of a thing with the Francis Ngannou fight, you said he wanted $30 million. There's the Anthony Joshua money quote and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this could be leading to that same type of friction, or do you think it'll be an easier negotiation this time?
John's always been well compensated. You know, he's always been well compensated. I would never put his total purse number out there, but it's fucking massive. The number that he went over tonight, he's made a lot of money in his career. Listen, you don't fight and then disappear for 5 years because you weren't well compensated. He makes a lot of money. So he'll make a lot more for this fight.
On a slightly happier note for boxing, then I know you're disappointed about Tyson and all that, but did you get to see the Serrano-Taylor fight?
Yes, it was awesome.
Do you think Serrano, I'm over here in the middle, Dana.
Okay.
Do you think Serrano won, as she's saying on socials, or?
I don't know. I mean, I was watching it, but I wasn't scoring it, but it was a great fight. You know, those girls were banging, throwing tons of combos, and that's the other thing. I mean, all the people that are, you know, you know, there's a lot of in Portnoy went out and said that it was the greatest con job of all time, and I mean, if you didn't think that that's the way the fight, I don't know what people expected. You know, Mike's almost 60 years old. He's Mike Tyson, but he's 60 years old, and he knew that Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him. So you knew what you were going to get when you saw that fight. But you can't be mad. It was fucking free. We all got Netflix anyway, right? And you got to watch the girls fight, and the girls fight was good. You know, I know a lot of people were pissed, and it was a bit of a shit show. But you know, what did you expect? Seriously, when you stayed home and you turned on Netflix that night, were you like, holy fuck, I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time? No, you fucking did not. You got exactly what you thought you were going to get.
I was there for the Serrano Taylor, but, you know, it was yeah.
Oh, you were there and you flew back here? No, to watch. Oh.
No, to watch.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
watching.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Serrano
you're right.
Taylor.
And that's the, listen, if you're a fight fan, you're right. You're right.
Dana. Going off that, sorry, because you just cut me off before. You were obviously watching the event. What did you think of like the production and stuff for Netflix? Because I imagine as you guys go into this negotiation for the next television rights,
Well, nobody does my production. I do. That's been my deal. But that's not the deal with almost every sport, maybe every sport as far as I know, but not me. Nobody's going to control my product. I do. And for Netflix, this thing was brilliant because you knew it was going to pull a massive number because of Mike Tyson, right? And to be fair to Jake, you're going to tune in to watch him get knocked out, hopefully, right? That's what everybody wants to see. And but they needed to do this test. They got the NFL coming at Christmas. They're just getting into live sports. They needed to do this to test it, to test something that they knew they would pull a big number on, and Mike Tyson pulls big numbers.
And you booked this Ian Gary versus Shavkat fight for the next pay-per-view. No interim title, just a co-main event, 5 rounds. Was that discussed at all? And why, with Bilal out in this situation, was an interim title not the right decision?
Yeah, because we know when Bilal's coming back. You know, he's not going to be out that long. So it's a number 1 contender fight. You do 5 rounds, which is great for both of those guys to get 5 rounds under the belt before they fight Bilal. And when do you ever have a fight, especially in MMA, we have 2 undefeated guys. You got an 18-0 with a 100% finish rate and a 15-0. You know, 2 of the best young up-and-coming prospects in the division to face off to see who's the number 1 contender.
Shavkat tweeted out that he was really disappointed in the division. He said basically everyone ranked above Ian turned the fight down. Was it difficult to get the fight made?
No, not at all. Listen, all these guys get disappointed about. I mean, you want to talk about disappointment? Chris Weidman's probably the most disappointed dude on the planet right now. Yeah. That's the sport, and it happens.
Yeah, and you announced the Q1 schedule tonight. That came out, and you're going to the Intuit Dome in LA in January. Why go there instead of Staples Center? What's appealing about that?
It's new. I like new arenas, new technology, and this place is supposed to be badass. So I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Dana,
I can't wait.
Congrats on tonight.
Thank you, sir.
You've turned the UFC into this global entity, powerful. You mentioned that, I think for boxing fans, it was frustrating last night. So often in our lives when boxing's had big moments, they've stumbled. That's kind of where the UFC flourishes. Is that still an option for you to revamp the boxing world, or is that just too complicated a task?
It's the question. It's the question to ask. We're going to find out. I'm interested, and we're trying to hammer something out right now. If it gets done, it'll probably be done around February, and then we'll find out. It needs to be ripped right down to the ground and rebuilt. When we started this company, we had like 13 contracts. Nobody knew anybody. We weren't on television. We had a DirecTV deal where we did like fucking 2,500 buys every time we did a show. And we literally built it from the ground up. That's how you do it. I don't know if there's ever been a sporting, a business, or anything in the history of the world that has brought in trillions of dollars, trillions in revenue. And at the end of the day, there's nothing left. There's nothing there. It's, so that's the plan.
Yeah, just two more in the front right here. The odds for Tom and John were the early odds were just released. Tom is a minus 135 to John being a plus 115. I'm curious what you make of those odds.
It's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Just one other last one that I remembered. It was announced Nick Diaz is probably out of his fight against Vicente Luque. Does that have anything to do with that video of Nick that came out?
That Nick's out of the fight?
Yeah, that's been reported.
Shit, I didn't even know that. Nick out of the fight?
Okay. Well, have you been made aware of that video of Nick going around social media?
I've seen a lot of videos of Nick.
Okay.
And Nate.
Dana.
Dana, the UFC signed Mikey Musumeci to the first BJJ exclusive promotional contract in UFC history. Can you just talk more about the work that went into that? You said it's been in the works for over a year.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into grappling now, so he's one of many. We'll go after all the greatest guys in the world.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yep.
Yeah. Congrats on the night, on a phenomenal night.
Thank you, sir.
Wanted to ask you, were there any upcoming fighters or a couple guys on the undercard you're actually excited about potential matchups happening later? And also, just to emphasize the impact of tonight, with the past presidential election and everything going on the grandest stage possibly in the country, just the overall energy and everything tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we always, all the guys that are on the undercards are usually guys that we, have high hopes for and that, we're looking to build. I don't really understand your question about the election, but yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, I can feel the difference. When I go into places like New York that's normally crazy blue and people are running up to me and thanking me and saying, and New York has a completely different vibe this time than the last, several times that I've been here. It feels like New York again. It does. One down, one to go. LA. Let's get LA back.
Dana, just in general, why do you think your fighters kind of relate well to Trump? Because back to back, it was Bo, then Chandler, then John. Why do you think they relate so well to the president?
Well, if you saw the election, the entire country relates with Trump right now. Won all the swing states. The only states she won were the ones that you didn't need ID to vote in. It would have been interesting if you needed ID, how that would have played out too. I think that the whole country, it feels like somebody hit the reset button. Everything feels, and however this election went, everybody was hoping it was a blowout either way, so there would be no more bullshit. And what I think everybody's tired of the bullshit, man. We're all tired. We all just want to live our lives and run our businesses and raise our families and do all that shit. And hopefully this stuff will all simmer down in the next 4 years.
I was asking that because when you had the speech when he got elected, you think Bust with the Boys, all the podcasters. So it seems like a lot of young men relate well to Trump. So just how the fighters kind of relate to him tonight.
So I've had this philosophy for the last 5 years that traditional media is dead, and it doesn't hold the influence that it used to hold. The two most hated people in this world right now are the media and the politicians. Nobody trusts them, and nobody believes them. And the true influence right now is with these kids that are on the internet, and they're called influencers. So I've been creating relationships with these people over the last, like I said, 4 or 5 years, and this election was won on the internet.
Dana,
the way Power Slap was built is the way this election was won, and the Hispanic vote was incredibly powerful, the male black vote, and the youth all came out. So,
Dana,
yeah.
You've worked with John Jones for 16 years. You've seen him go through ups and downs, in and outside of the cage. Outside of his fighting career, what do you think's your most impactful moment you've had with John?
Outside of what? His fighting career?
Yep, outside of the cage. As friends.
Me and John Jones never got along outside of the cage. We've had a horrendous relationship for 16 years. Not 16, call it 10, 12.
Well, I'm sure he's happy that you're claiming him as a pound-for-pound number one.
Because it's a fact. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to whatever. I'm not saying we don't have that kind of relationship anymore, but I don't have to like him to realize who he is and what he's capable of and see the brilliance. He is the best to ever fight in a fucking fight, period. Ever.
I agree. And
Unless, like, maybe in the Roman days. I don't know fucking anybody that fought back then. But since people have been fucking documenting fighting, he's the best ever.
And one last question from me. Venom has come out with a lot of custom shorts this year. 4 fighters on today's card had them. Which ones are your favorite of this year?
I don't even know anything about any of them.
All good?
That is way out of my fucking wheelhouse.
Right back here?
Yeah.
You've hit 100 shows in the Apex. This year, 17 out of 28 UFC fight nights will have taken place inside the Apex. With every other sport back to pre-pandemic operations, do you plan on getting on the road more than 50% of the shows this year?
Yeah. I'm the one that got all the sports back on the road.
That you did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've wondered why we're still at the Apex.
Because you know what? I had a problem going to a lot of places at one point. I said, you know where I'm going to go? I'm going to go to places where it's easy to run my business and we're not going to have to deal with any bullshit. So, you know, we you know where we've been, the usual suspects. Celebrated, not tolerated. So we're going to start hitting a lot of those places this year, and yes, sir, we will travel fight nights more too.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Dana, over here.
Yeah.
Dana.
Yeah.
Here. Over Dana.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming to this room, a guy told me he have a cancer and 1 month to live, but that he was happy to have seen a UFC event. How do you feel providing this kind of emotion for people?
Help me.
He said there was some, I believe he said there was someone he met that was dying from cancer, but
What was it?
he said, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he met a fan that was dying from cancer and he was happy that he was able to see
That's
the
it.
event. Yeah.
Do we have a translator here? Oh, John Jones kid. The guy with John Jones?
No. Just a guy in this Madison Square Garden have a cancer and told me. And
Yeah,
he
no,
was
listen,
happy to see.
So we've had so much of that. So behind the scenes, like, people will reach out all the time that are dying of cancer and all these different things, and we always bring people in to experience it. And how does it make me feel? Incredible that people who are dying want to come here and see an event. You know what I mean?
He was very happy in here.
Makes me happy. Yes, sir.
Dana.
Here.
Yeah.
You say that John and Tom has the potential to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. Is that a fight that you think you could go against your normal rules and go for a stadium?
It doesn't have the potential to. It's going to be. It's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever. It'll probably be the biggest fight we've ever done. And I hate stadiums, man. I hate them. I like arenas. It's just such a better vibe. People can see better. You know, probably not.
And that fight will obviously take place in the USA.
We don't know. We're talking about. We were literally talking about a lot of different options tonight before we came in here.
So England's a potential.
Could be anywhere. Could literally be anywhere.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, over here. Just quickly, you know, obviously you don't make the fights on the night, but I'd imagine
But
if Chandler had beaten Oliveira, it would have been, well, Oliveira's obviously going to move on and be fighting up the division. Does the result almost kind of help him in getting that McGregor fight back on track a little bit, the fact that it didn't go his way tonight?
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. Listen, like I said, he's like Arturo Gatti. You know what I mean? People want to see him fight, win, lose, or draw. He's always exciting. He's always fun. I mean, the last round of that fight, he kept getting taken down, get on his back. So when he got on his back at the end, he just stood up and started slamming him. The kid always tries to win. He always comes to fight. And Michael Chandler's always going to have a home here. I mean, until he decides to retire, Michael Chandler isn't going anywhere. Will he fight Conor? I don't know.
With regards, Conor, you mentioned on the Jim Rome show and again today that it's going to be the end of next year, which will bring him over 4 years out of the octagon. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he seemed more like he was maybe going to fight on February 1st. Where's the disconnect there?
Who felt like that?
Conor.
Conor? And disconnect? And me? And there's no doubt that Conor hits me up all the time. Conor wants to fight. I told you guys that he probably wouldn't fight in 24, and he didn't. He's going to fight in 25, probably at the end of the year. if it's earlier, that's good for all of us.
Why so late?
When it's going to play out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dana
Yeah.
over here. Thanks for making a great night.
Thank you, sir.
It was a great experience. I wanted to ask about John Jones. I know you like questions about him, so if Aspinall gets out of the fight, if you schedule a fight and he gets out of fight, do you think you'll try to make a fight against Pereira?
No.
No? Okay.
You know what? You know what tonight told me? There's no fucking way I make the Pereira fight.
Okay.
John's too big. Great wrestler. See how he took Stipe down in that first round? Yeah. I like Alex Pereira. I like him personally. You know,
But
it
he's
just
the greatest of all time, right?
it just doesn't make sense to make that fight. If they both want it bad enough and they're both fucking hounding me or something, maybe I would do it. It's just Alex Pereira is killing it. Look at his age and what he's doing right now. What's the reason to go up and fight a guy that's so much bigger than you and such a good wrestler? What is it?
Money.
Money? Yeah. No, you're right. That's definitely a reason.
The only reason.
But just so we're clear, I don't want to make any of that kind of money. I want Pereira to stay where he is and do what he does and, you know, run the street. But again, if they go crazy on me and they want to do it, then what am I going to do? They're grown-ass men, and I'm sure the fans want to see it. I'm sure you want to see it. I guess we'll talk about it.
Yep. And the second question, off topic a little bit. Before the fight, you said you're going to announce the Makhachev-Sarukan soon. Is it still, like, actual or?
I said I was going to announce what?
The Sarukan and Makhachev fight.
Oh, Sarukian and
And Makhachev, yeah, in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Is it like already like done, or you're still working on it? Because
Did I announce it?
no, I didn't. But you said you're gonna announce it.
I said I was going to announce it after this fight at the press conference?
No, before the fight.
You're good, sir.
Sorry. Two quick questions. Some fighters have said that they like the new gloves. Is there any thought about just
One guy? All right.
Two.
They're back.
No, I'm just saying let the fighters choose. Is that a? I know you said you're waiting to get more gloves in, but if any fighters still want to use the new gloves, two guys said that their hands felt really good after the fight. It gave better protection. Any thought on that?
You know how fucking good that is to hear, sir? You know how much money I spent on this? Money, time, energy. I'm very happy that two guys love the gloves. I'm really happy.
There might be more than two, but
there might be.
Yeah,
Speak up now or forever hold your peace. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
The last question I have is, it seemed like you might have softened your stance on an outdoor venue, perhaps for, say, a UFC Africa, or perhaps even a smaller arena than you might normally do.
And why is that? Why do you say that?
Saw an interview a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think it was, where it sounded like you were maybe we do something there with what's existing, but that's where I want to lead with this. What are your thoughts on the existing infrastructure in that whole continent?
So
and
all the
where it's
top
gonna go?
executives from the Yankees were here tonight, and the president of the Yankees told me that they would love to do a fight at Yankee Stadium outside and all this stuff. It's just we did one fight outside one time at Abu Dhabi. The heat was a problem. The humidity was a problem. The bugs were a problem. I mean, I don't like doing things in places or environments that affect the fight, you know, and all of those things affect a fight, the outcome of a fight. And again, I don't like the viewing experience for the fans either.
So would that some of these smaller stadiums, since there aren't any large arenas currently available in there, is that going to be large enough to entice the UFC to go, or still waiting for hopefully some place to come up with something larger?
I don't know. I know everybody thinks we do everything for money, but everything isn't about money for me. It's more about an experience. I never, ever want people to turn off the television and feel the way they felt last night after they watch a fight. I want the exact opposite. I want people to be like, glad I stayed home, glad I watched it, not pissed I paid for it, you know, and I, especially people who travel. So there will be people that will fly, buy tickets, plane tickets, hotel rooms, dinners, shopping, tickets to the fight, and then go there and have a bad experience, whether it's any of those things, the weather, the wind, the heat, the humidity, the bugs, I mean, any of that stuff. I like to be able to control everything a little bit more. I can control everything that happens inside this arena. There can be some weird shit the night the fucking gate broke and everybody fell on the ground. You know, that kind of shit will happen here and there. But in all the years we've been doing it, it's happened one time, right? I can't control what happens when that cage door shuts. And if we're outside, I can't control anything. Nothing. Anything can happen. And I hate that. I don't like that feeling.
Sure. Some would argue that there's plenty of other sports that live through it just fine.
But people
they
don't
aren't
get
combat sports.
Exactly. Big difference if you're kicking a soccer ball or, you know, fucking hitting home runs, whatever. Totally different. I mean, they even stop in rain in baseball, right? I mean, yeah. You can't stop. We can't have a rain delay.
Why not?
Because it's fucking ridiculous, and it will never happen as long as I'm alive. That's never going to happen. We're never going to have a rain delay in the UFC. Yeah. Think about, again, last night, boxing, right? These guys will do a fight, then have a fucking podcast for an hour and 30 minutes before the next fucking fight comes on, right? We're going to do a rain delay? It's never going to happen, man. You know what we do? We go boom, 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 and all the fights fucking roll all night. All the shit talk's done. You don't need to see fucking Rosie Perez breaking down fights and you know.
Really good job, but yes.
Yeah. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you. All right. So tonight was a tough night, obviously, for bonuses. We felt like the fight of the night was the Rebecca fight. Shara, Hamzat, and Topuria. We actually kicked in another. You can't not give those three guys bonuses. And then we'll take care of Ebo, too. He's not getting 50, but he won't be disappointed. Maybe he will. I don't know. Who's got the first question?
Dana, this feels like one of those events that you sort of sit at home thinking about for the next week and just going over all the amazing fights we had tonight. Starting with the main event, you know, there's a lot of questions about Ilia Topuria. Is he as good as he says he is and all that sort of stuff? No one's done that to Max Holloway. Give us your thoughts on his performance and the result.
I agree. We were just talking in the back, you know, as you start to clip off legend after legend after legend, you eventually become a legend. So he looked, both guys look great tonight. Max came in with the right game plan. I think that the early calf kicks, you know, added up and took their toll later on in the fight. Those things are so devastating when people throw them the right way. And, yeah, he couldn't have fought a better fight. Took some big shots himself, has the chin, kept coming forward. Incredible performance by both guys. But Topuria did something that nobody's ever done before.
And if you think of the names that Max has fought, right, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, these guys have landed big shots on him before. But for Ilia Topuria, who's not even a particularly big featherweight, how crazy is it that he can generate that much power in his shots?
Yeah, he's legit. If you question a guy after Volk, I mean, you can't question him after tonight. He is legit.
Obviously, Volk did come in the cage. I know we should probably wait until Tuesday, but does that seem like the logical fight to give up since Topuria said he wants to do the rematch as well?
Listen, Volkanovski is one of those guys. We're not going to say no to Volkanovski. He's been that guy for us anytime we needed him. You know, he was on this run like Adesanya and like Alex is on right now when things don't go our way and you got to call a guy. Volkanovski's always been that guy. He really was. And, you know, for him to ask for nobody, I don't think anybody's in this room going, oh, this is ridiculous or crazy. And who wouldn't want to see it again?
So, Ilia Topuria's just knocked out Volkanovski, knocked out Max Holloway, two of the best ever in that division or even in the sport.
Yep.
How does his year rank up to Alex Pereira, who's had so much activity and crazy knockouts himself?
And Islam, you know. I mean, when you look at these guys and these runs they're on, it's incredible.
Hamzat Chimaev obviously did what he does. I think people were a little bit confused at how quick Rob tapped until they saw the image had just come out of his jaw. insane.
And you're right. So as soon as that happened, I picked up the phone and I called the truck, and they're like, "Yeah, his jaw popped," and so I knew what had happened. Because I didn't know what happened either, why he tapped so quick. Because Mick came over and we were like, he didn't even have the choke in. It's weird. Yeah, he popped his jaw. And so it was, when you do that, like it splits and the teeth get all messed up. Rob has that right now.
So is that a dislocation or a break or what exactly?
I don't know yet. It's not good. When your teeth are going, it's not good.
And then after the fight, obviously, you ran up and spoke to Hamzat Chimaev on his way out of the ring. Just curious what you got to say to him and what exactly his future could be.
Yeah, I just said congratulations, great fight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Dana, we're here. Was there any update on RDA? Because obviously it looked like he blew his knee out in there.
I think that's what happened, yeah. I don't know exactly, but we're pretty sure he blew his knee out.
Same as Orlby, after that war. Obviously his eye was swollen shut and he somehow kept fighting.
So when you guys were watching that fight, what did you immediately think? Huh?
Doctor stoppage?
Orbital, right? No. It's fucking crazy. Soft tissue swelling. That was it. That's insane. It's incredible. I thought his orbital was destroyed. No. Pretty amazing.
Magomed all week has said that you told him that he needed an impressive performance to get the next title shot. Ankalaev, I'm curious what you thought of his victory.
He looked good. He absolutely looked great.
And Shar Bullet, obviously one of the knockouts of the year, probably would be on the short list if it wasn't for Max at 300 with a double spinning back fist. He also wants to seem to fight every week. Like he wants to turn around and fight in Macau, and then he wants to turn around and fight in Saudi Arabia. He's calling out Israel Adesanya. He's just like a promoter's dream, like this exciting fighter that just seems to want to fight every single weekend.
Yes, I love guys like that. And that's how you do it. Listen, if you're that good and you're that confident in yourself and you get out of a fight and you don't feel all banged up and you're ready to turn around, it's what everybody should do.
And what was there was a bit of a drama with Farid Basharat and his opponent where Basharat was in here, said he had made weight, bantamweight, and then his opponent couldn't make it, so then he agreed to fight him at featherweight. So he weighed in at 137, and his opponent weighed in at like 146. It was that 10-pound difference at the weigh-ins. Like he said, he can't remember a time this has ever happened. He makes weight, still has to fight at featherweight. When did you learn that all that was going down?
Right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dana, to go back to Ankalaev, he promised coming into this fight he wouldn't shoot a single takedown. He didn't do it. Is this enough to get Alex Pereira his title fight? It's the second longest unbeaten streak in the history of this division behind John Jones.
I would have to say yes.
Yeah. And go back to what Oscar said there about Alex Pereira versus Ilia Topuria. Who would you give your Fighter of the Year award? Alex had the quickest fighter to ever get 3 title defenses, 175 days. Ilia knocking out both these guys. Who would you give it to?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd have to look at more numbers and stats, but you can't take it away from either one of them what they've done this year. I mean, Alex. When you look at Alex, he's on vacation in Australia, and we call him, and packs up and heads home and comes into the fight. I mean, he's built different. That guy.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see what he just did again for a very long time.
It's like he doesn't even care about a full camp. He doesn't care if he's hurt. He doesn't care about anything. He'll get in there and fight.
Conor McGregor tweeted, "Call me," after the main event.
Lene just told me that, yeah.
What do you think he's referring to? Max at 155 for the BMF maybe? Or him and Ilya have had a lot of stuff to say to each other in recent months?
I don't know. I think that he did it to get this. We're all sitting here going, huh, what did he mean?
Yeah, and I asked you the other night about at Power Slap about Merab and Umar, and after that, Merab at the Q&A before weigh-ins got asked about Umar, and he got like really upset when someone said he's ducking Umar. Is that the plan to do that fight? Like, is that the next fight you want at bantamweight, Merab versus Umar?
Absolutely.
Okay. And another thing you mentioned at Power Slap the other night was stuff about Francis Ngannou, and that stirred up a lot of reaction from the MMA community and from Francis himself. And he had a very interesting quote. Can I read you a little bit? He said, he can't handle this loss, referring to you. I'm sure he's been praying for my downfall. Which money is he talking about? The money that he owes me? They say we're going to give you back pay from the money we owe you from the Stipe and Surreal Gone fights. All that, they never paid me back. Now I've made more money than I would have ever made in the UFC. I would say twice the money in my entire UFC career.
Yeah. When have you ever heard a story in all the years we've been in business, even when it was upside down, where we owed somebody money. Never happened. So he's full of shit there. Then I lost. I didn't lose anything. I was done with Francis after the. He actually owes me money because we had to watch that fight with him and the Black Beast. He should actually pay me back for that fight, and all of you. And me praying for it. Trust me, I don't think about Francis that much. You guys asked me the question about the PFL, and I responded. Other than that, the only one who's praying for his demise is probably the PFL, because they signed a shitty contract with a guy that doesn't deliver any numbers in ticket sales or pay-per-views. So, and they got to keep paying this guy for however long, and good for him. And not good for them.
Yeah, and I know
what was the other question?
It was. I know you said like he's all about the money, but then you also said like he would have made more money to stay here.
And
So
that's
could
a
you just
fact.
clarify
He can play those games all he wants. He would have made more money here.
And just
Let
lastly,
me tell you what. There were two guys here. I wanted to cut them. Someday I'll tell you the story. Francis was like, I was all about Francis in the beginning, and then I found out who Francis was. And I told the two guys who asked me not to cut Francis, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And, yeah, believe me, I have no sleepless nights over Francis leaving.
So just two more things on this.
Yep.
You wanted to cut him, but he went on to become the UFC heavyweight champion. So I guess what does that say about that thought process?
Yeah.
Does it show he should have stayed?
Well,
Or?
no. I didn't like Francis as a person. Wasn't a guy I wanted to do business with. My boys were telling me he's misunderstood. And I told them, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Yeah, it wasn't about him becoming the heavyweight champion of the world. Francis isn't a good guy. He plays the good guy. I don't understand the language, and so he seems like he's a nice guy. He's not, and he's just not a guy that I wanted to be in business with. Period. End of story. Whether he became the champion or not.
And I assume you don't want to be in business with him ever again, but
We won't be. We'll never be in business together. You can tell.
Yeah.
We don't like each other. And this goes way back. This goes back to before the first Stipe fight. He pulled some shit before the first Stipe fight, and I said, I'm done with this guy. And then Stipe beat the shit out of him. Great night. And then, yeah, we never had a relationship after that.
Well, I know you said John Jones would walk out of any room, so wouldn't it be gratifying to put him in a room with Francis?
He
and
didn't
see
want that
happen?
fight. He could have stayed and took that fight. He didn't want that fight. Tom Aspinall deserves that fight.
And just one other unrelated thing. Ian Gary posted a couple weeks ago him signing a contract for Colby Covington. He said it was going to be the main event in Tampa. I know you said in the past Colby's never turned down fights. Did he turn down that one? And what's going on with that potential match?
I don't know yet. We're still making. It's not that anybody's turning down fights. You know what I mean? Yeah, nobody's turning down fights.
Dana.
Hey, you.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Dana. After 2 weeks ago, you said Sean Strickland will be next for Dricus du Plessis, but after seeing Hamzat's performance tonight, is Strickland still next, or is it going to depend?
It's a good question. Call me on Tuesday.
All right, and just one other one for me. I heard that there are plans of the UFC going to Abu Dhabi more in 2025. Are we just looking at Riyadh and Abu Dhabi when it comes to the Middle East, or could we be looking at other countries in the Middle East at 2025?
Definitely. I mean, we're we you know how it is. We want to take this thing everywhere. So yes, we could be looking at other countries. We're in talks right now, and yeah, we want to bring more fights here too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Дана, поздравляю с очередным крутым турниром. Ты уже доказал, что ММА может конкурировать с боксом, но сейчас параллельно шел футбол. Барселона против Реала. Когда ММА сможет конкурировать с футболом?
Congratulations on another great event. You already proven that you can compete with boxing, but tonight, at the same time that we had the event, there was the big soccer match. When are we going to be able to compete with the giant soccer?
Well, I don't really feel like I compete with other combat sports. I compete with things like soccer and the NFL and college football and the NBA. I mean, that's what we can. Movies. I mean, whatever takes the attention of people on Saturdays is what I compete with.
Я не думаю, что я соревнуюсь с боксом или с какими-то другими видами спорта, боевого спорта. Мне кажется, что я уже соревнуюсь и с большим футболом, и с американским футболом, и с НБА и так далее. Вот это так, и даже с кино, поэтому вот такие вот самые большие вещи, это вот с ними я соревнуюсь.
В 4-й раз за историю UFC бой за титул дали дебютанту Кайо Сакари. Правильно я понимаю, что это говорит о кризисе в наилегчайшем весе?
This is the 4th time in the history of the UFC that a guy that's debuting is getting a title shot.
What did you say?
Кайо Сакара.
This is the 4th time in the history of the UFC that a debut guy is getting a title shot. Kaiyo Sakara. Does that mean that there's trouble in that division?
No, it means he's a bad motherfucker.
Нет, он просто охуенный.
Когда объявят реванш с Царукяном и Махачева?
When is going to be announced the rematch between Tsarukyan and Makhachev?
I don't know.
Не знаю.
Call me on Tuesday.
Во вторник позвони.
И последний от меня вопрос. Совсем недавно на подкасте рассказали о том, что у Шейна Карвина началась деменция. Поможет ли как-то UFC ветерану этого спорта и человеку, который заслуживает быть в зале славы?
There was a podcast that said that Shane Carman had dementia started. Will the UFC help him out somehow for this person who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
What's the question? Would we do what?
Would you help him out somehow?
We have been helping him out. We have been working with Shane Carwin for a long time.
Мы уже давно ему помогаем, уже давно с ним работаем.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, ma'am, in the back there. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
Dana, Christina from Europop. Again, congratulations on a wonderful night of fights. That
Thank
was
you.
amazing. So now you have two champions from Georgia, and one of them today just made history for our country and for UFC as well, made his first title defense. As a person who represents Georgian sports media, I get bombarded with questions that now that we have two champions, will the UFC bring an event, if not in Georgia, then maybe in the region? So are there any plans? I know you've mentioned either Madrid or Barcelona, but are there any plans to bring UFC and just in general have more cards in Europe?
Well, the answer to that is yes. This business is star-driven. You know, so when we have a South African, we want to get to Africa. When we have, somebody from Spain, we want to get into Spain. Georgia, yes. The answer is yes. I don't, we haven't looked into that yet or what it would take to pull off an event near there or whatever. I mean, we're still trying to figure out Spain with the arena situation. But when you look at the performance that Topuria had tonight, we need to get to Spain and figure it out quickly.
Well, we're waiting for you for sure.
Thank you.
Another thing for Max today, I mean, I think we can both agree that Max is the legend of the game, right? And first, one question of that is, why wasn't the BMF title on the line for this fight? And the second part of the question is, are you now more sure of doing the maybe tournament for that belt up in the lightweight division?
So the Topuria's belt was on the line. Max was trying to take that. I want to say it was like, halfway through the second round. I said, shit, we should have put the bad motherfucker title up on this fight too, because these guys are both it. But I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with it yet. But Max still has it. Max holds the title, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, another one. Ilya mentioned wanting to get eventually during his career 3 belts. He defended one today. How realistic do you think that is, given what he has shown us and given the fact that he's only 28 years old?
Yeah, I like when guys absolutely wipe out a division, and then you're like, what's next? He's already beat this guy. If the Volkanovski fight happens, beat him twice, beat Max, he beat this guy, that guy, then you start looking at what's next.
And just one last one from me. A couple of days ago, I saw a video of you mentioning that you were very impressed with the new influx of talent, especially female talent in the UFC, and you felt like it's time to create new divisions like atomweight. That is something that I've been very interested in, and I was wondering if there was like any timeline, how serious those plans are, and if they are serious, when can we expect that to happen?
It's a great question, and every time I say something, I'm very serious about it. We were talking about the rankings. We've been working on the rankings. We talked about that. We've been working on that. Mick feels like that division isn't strong enough to actually build right now, but it's something that we're looking at, working on, and figuring out the possibilities, I guess I would say.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Dana.
Yep.
Here.
Hi.
Hello. After this incredible victory of Ilia Topuria against Max Holloway, can you confirm that Topuria's next fight will be in Spain?
Yeah, I was just saying, we have to get it done. We have to figure this out. I hate going to soccer stadiums. I like arenas better, but if that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. But yes, we need to get to Spain.
And after knocking out Holloway and Volkanovski, where does Topuria stand in the UFC featherweight historical ranking?
Well, like I was saying earlier, when you keep clipping legends, legend after legend after legend, you become a legend. So he's on the right path.
Have you said, Dana, that Bernabeu is an option now, even you hate it?
Did you say that the stadium was announced, even though you hate going to stadiums? Are you announcing that we're going to the stadium?
No.
So you hate it, and Bernabeu is not an option?
You guys are the best. The best. No, I did not say. I said if we have to, we will. I would prefer not to, but we haven't done anything yet. As far as where we stand right now is all the arenas were booked up. We're trying to figure it out. But if I have to go to a stadium, I will.
Dana right here.
Thank you.
Hi. First of all, I owe you an apology. I was one of the people that hated Power Slap. I did the commentary in Arabic for them last time, and my God, you're 100% right. We are all wrong. I respect you so much for seriously that Power Slap.
Thank
is
you,
amazing.
sir.
It's like an
No,
MMA.
it's a different experience live.
Especially, it's
Yeah.
totally different.
Thank you.
Now, for the next year, here for Abu Dhabi and Saudi, I know there, like His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh asked you to add more Power Slap in Saudi. You said one, he said two. What do we expect? How many of them?
How many? Yeah, Power Slap's going everywhere. We had people at that event from all over the place, and yeah, we're going everywhere with Power Slap.
And as far as Africa, are we going North Africa or South Africa? Because
South. We're going to go south first. Looking at other places in the Middle East right now. We're looking to add more in Saudi and more here in Abu Dhabi.
Because there's talk.
And then we're going to Florida, Texas. I want to go to Hawaii with Power Slap. The list goes on and on.
Amazing. But one last question for me. The power ranking, is it fixed? Because I know you hate the media being involved. And are you guys fixing the pound for pound ranking?
Oh, we're trying to, yeah. I'm trying to fix the rankings. Yeah, we've been working on it. I think we have a really good plan in place. I can't really talk about it right now, but when I do, I'll let you know. We got a good plan. Just got to get it done now.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Congratulations for a successful event today. What lacks it from our perspective is the number of Arab fighters. We wish to see more Arab fighters fighting, and we would humbly request from you to have Dana White looking for a fight here in Abu Dhabi or maybe in Saudi Arabia. You will see many fighters who are at the top level that we want to test them in the UFC, like Abdurrahman Al-Hiyasat, he's undefeated from Jordan. Abi Saghir, he's based in Michigan, undefeated 6-0 lightweight. We have Muhammad Al-Agra, who is Kuwaiti and training with Khafir Mendez in AKA, undefeated 7-0. So if you can do such thing, we will be blessed with UFC here in the region.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I could see us doing one. We're talking about doing a lot of things here in the region right now. I had meetings since I've been here about doing more. The kid that came up on stage the other day. So the Korean Zombie started his own MMA organization, and he's got a fight like December 14th or 16th, and I'm looking for a fight there. We're going to take that kid. We're going to put him on that show. We'll match make it. We'll pay for the fight, and we'll see if he makes it.
My second question, About Ilia Topuria, in the media they said that in the press conference you did him bad by drinking water and putting the same cup in front of him.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And he was thirsty and...
Yeah, I need to be more aware of. I was thirsty too, but I should have waited till after the press conference. Yeah.
And my final question, before yesterday I saw Muhammad Mukayev, who was competing in ADXC. Some people said that Raul Rosas UFC rejected him to fight Mukayev because they were afraid that he will lose from Mukayev. Was it,
that who would?
Rosas was supposed to fight him.
Yeah, he was supposed
Mukayev.
to fight him for the main event.
Who said that?
We heard in media that
From who?
UFC rejected him to fight Mukayev in ADXC.
Who'd you hear that from?
So it's,
Who?
So UFC didn't reject that he fight in ADXC?
No. So first of all, he wasn't released. He just wasn't re-signed. His contract expired, and there were a lot of issues with him behind the scenes, and some not behind the scenes. That the matchmakers were done with him. They were tired of him, and they didn't want to deal with him anymore. So they didn't re-sign him.
Last question about Mukayev. I did an interview with him, and he said that he matured now and he has a good relation with you. But some people maybe are saying like negative things about him to you, and he wish one day that he can be re-signed with UFC. Do you think it may happen?
He said that you guys now have a good relationship, and it's just some other people that are saying that bad things about him to you, but he hopes that the relationship could be mended and one day he could be back in the UFC.
Yeah, listen, I have no problem with him. I've never had a beef with him, but I don't deal with him on a daily basis. If I did, maybe I would. The matchmakers didn't want to re-sign him. Huh? Oh, he lost?
Split decision.
Listen, I got no problem with the kid. PFL should sign him.
Thank you.
Thank
Dana,
you.
just over here. Yesterday at the fan Q&A, Merab said that he wants to rematch Sean O'Malley towards the end of this year or early next year. And then you've also got Merab on Twitter saying that Merab is ducking him. Could you provide some clarity on that situation?
Umar said that Merab is docking him, but Merab said that he wants to rematch O'Malley either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. What's the situation?
Umar. That's what I think.
Umar, because there was some news that came out that he's scheduled to fight Son Yodong. Is there any confirmation to that?
Did we announce it?
No.
Then no.
Just one more as well. With the BMF title, assuming Max goes up for his next fight to lightweight, who comes to mind for a match with him?
I don't even know. Right here, right now, I have no idea. Like I say, we got to fly to New York tonight and then back to Vegas Monday morning. Tuesday we'll be back in the office, and we'll start looking at what's next for all these guys.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Dan Hooker.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dana, over here.
Yeah.
Hello. As a fellow Georgian of Ilia Topuria, there's many two champions of the UFC, Merab and Ilia, and also many Georgian fighters in the UFC nowhere. The Georgian fans want to know what's your opinion about the Georgian fighters in nowhere, and also the small countries like Georgia and many other countries having fighters in UFC. What's in the water of those countries, and what makes those fighters different, in your opinion?
There's two champs from Georgia in the UFC. There's other Georgian fighters in the UFC. What is your opinion about Georgian fighters? And also, since there's so many good fighters from that region, what do you think is in the water that makes them so good?
Yeah, I obviously, when you talk about Georgia now, I mean, to have two guys that are world champions from there is incredible. And anything that ends in Stan, some tough guys are coming from. There's just these parts of the world where these guys are built different, and obviously, sambo and wrestling is a big part of their culture, and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I always talk about Australia. In 2001 we had Elvis Sinisic. That was the only guy in Australia, and if you look at how far they've come in such a short amount of time in that region, and the same could be said for Georgia. To have two world champions in the UFC, it's almost impossible to become top 5, top 3 in the UFC. But to have two world champions from there, it's incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dano.
Yes.
В первую очередь, поздравляю с таким шикарным турниром. Вопрос такой. Сегодня Шара Буллет сотворил историю, оформив первый в истории нокаут двойным бэкфистом. Вот, включил бы ты этот нокаут в топ-3 своих любимых и непредсказуемых нокаутов?
First of all, congratulations on an incredible event. Second of all, tonight Shara Bullet made history by putting in the books the first ever double back fist knockout. Would you include that knockout in the top 3 of all time most unexpected, amazing knockouts?
100%. That's why I was saying when we did the performance of the night, you could not give the 2 kids that won fight of the night, and you could not give all 3 guys the bonus that won. Yeah, it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
По-любому, без вопросов, я никогда такого не видел, и невозможно было не дать бонус 2 пацанам, которые сделали лучший бой вечера, но невозможно было не дать бонус всем остальным 3, поэтому одна из самых крутых вещей, которых я когда видел, по-любому.
А готов ли Шара сейчас драться против бойца из топ-10 или топ-5, может?
Do you think Shara is ready for a top 10 or a top 5 fighter?
I don't know. I think that, again, when we get back into the office next week and we'll start putting all this stuff together. I mean, he looked incredible tonight. He looked good. And he beat a real guy, like a tough guy, and did it in spectacular fashion. So the answer is probably yes.
Не знаю, надо будет приехать, вернуться домой, посмотреть, рассмотрим. Но сегодня он выглядел невероятным образом. Сегодня победил настоящего бойца, сильного бойца. То есть, скорее всего, да.
И вот хотел бы ты, чтобы он дрался в Штатах, потому что Шара нам рассказывал, что в некоторых Штатах он может уступать.
Would you like Shara to fight in the States? Because he said that some of the states would allow him to fight.
Yeah, listen, I'd like to travel that guy all over the place, you know. We'll see.
Да, конечно, я бы хотел, чтобы он путешествовал везде. Да, посмотрим.
Да, и последний вопрос, если можно. Чья ММА-борьба сильнее, на твой взгляд, Чимаева, который показал яркое выступление, Махачева или Хабиба?
And just a final question, who do you think has the best MMA wrestling? Chimaev, Makhachev, or Habib?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, if you look at what Habib, achieved in the sport, and it's hard not to say Hamzat either. I mean, that guy came out tonight, and yeah, he looked damn good.
Очень сложный вопрос, потому что нельзя не заметить то, чего добился Хабиб своей борьбой и вообще в UFC. И то, что сделал сегодня Чимаев, тоже неповторимо, поэтому сложный вопрос.
Hey, Dana.
Thank you.
Here to your right.
Yep.
You probably already hate us Spaniards with all these when are you coming to Spain questions, but whether it is an arena or a soccer stadium, what would you need to see from either Barcelona or Madrid to decide on one of the two?
You probably already hate all these questions from the Spanish reporters about whether you come into a soccer stadium or to the arena, but what do you need to see from either Barcelona or Madrid in order for you to make that decision?
Availability. Availability, number one. And I don't hate the questions. I love the questions. I mean, obviously, I want to go to Spain as bad as Spain wants us to come. So we're working on it. We'll get it done. There's never been a time where we said we're going to do something and we don't do it. We figure it out and we'll get it done. And it's important for me to go to Spain in 25. So we'll figure it out.
And would you need a specific number of Spanish fighters to go to our country, or would that be okay with the 4 we have already?
Do you need a specific number of Spanish fighters in order to go to that country?
No, I mean, once you get into a market for the first time, obviously there'll be Spanish fighters on the card, but no, it's not. We need Topuria. Yeah.
Dana, there were 6 undefeated fighters before this evening. So Ibo was the only one who took somebody's O. I'm right here on your right and far behind. So what do you make of his performance? Did he meet your expectations?
There were 6 undefeated fighters, and Ibo was the only one who took somebody's O. What would you make of his performance?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the other performances, were at such a higher level. But he should have got a bonus tonight, too. But we're going to take care of him. We'll take care of him. Like I said when I walked in, it's not going to be 50, but we'll take care of him. He looked spectacular. We moved that to the main event. like 2 days before we left the office. And we were all in there talking and felt like, that should be the main event of the prelims.
And how about Ivo and all the other talent?
And he delivered.
Yeah. And how about Ivo and all the other talent around this region? And Istanbul is an option for UFC Istanbul. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Off the top, I would like to think that everywhere in the world is an option for us. But, like I said, a lot of these things are star-driven. When you have a guy who comes from, we go into a market and you have a guy who can potentially be a star or is already a rising star, and you bring him into these markets. Like we have 2 Georgian world champions, right? You had Conor McGregor, who ignited all of Europe and other parts of the world. You got Topuria now, where you're talking about going to Spain. You talk about Duplessis in Africa, and Izzy and Rob, and over in Australia and New Zealand. It's star-driven. We pop up with somebody from Istanbul, I'll see you there, believe me.
Dana, last for me, only one. I don't know if Ilia Topuria is like a visionary, because he promised, he promised are done. And last week he promised to be champion in 3 divisions. Are you worried about that?
Ilia Topuria is like a visionary. Everything he says, everything he promises comes true. He promised something this last week. It came true today. Now he promised he's going to be a champion in 3 divisions. Are you worried about that?
Why would I worry about that? That's awesome. I mean, I'm a big fan of manifesting. I mean, all the greats do it. When you look at all the greats that have ever, competed in combat sports, they all tell you what they're going to do. And they usually do it. I love it.
Hi, first of all, congratulations on the great show.
Thank you.
If Ilias' next fight will be in Spain in 2025, is it possible to see 2 Georgian champions on the same card?
Yeah, anything's possible. Anything is possible.
Will you bring us O'Malley in Spain, or it will be Merab versus Umar?
Umar's next.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Dana, to your left.
Yep.
I don't have a question, but I just really want to appreciate what you did to the sport. And I want you to know that even after 100 or 150 years, your name will always be there. So my request is never stop what you're doing. Keep making this as big as you can and never retire. Always stay there. You are not allowed to retire.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Dana.
Go ahead, brother.
Right.
Yep.
From Leader Sport. First of all, congratulations again on the amazing card.
Thank you.
Featherweight is full of killers. You have Ilya, you have Volkanovski, Holloway, Diego Lopez, Evloev. Would you say it's the toughest division right now to compete in?
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them. I think there's a few tough divisions right now.
Another question, Ilya's brother, Alexander Topuria, is also signed with the UFC. Any news maybe about his future opponent?
No clue. No, not right here off the top of my head. No.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys done with me? Have a great night. Thanks a lot. All right, guys. The gate was 5 million. The attendance is 17,487. Second highest grossing event at the arena. The UFC is now 1, 2, and 3 all time here. Obviously, you know what the fight of the night was. And then they both get 50,000. And then Spann and Buckley were performance of the night. Congratulations to all of them.
Dana, to your right, have you seen anything like that before where after the fight's over, and it's this incredible fight, the crowd stayed for 10 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I already
chanting Khalil's
had put the
name?
belt on, walked all the way back to my room. We were talking. And then by the time he got on and was doing his interview, literally almost everybody was still in their seats. It's incredible. Yeah. Well, it should. I mean, it's an incredible show of respect for both guys. I mean, what a hell of a fight. And Khalil Roundtree, I mean, another level of tough.
I was going to say, do you, obviously Alex is one of your biggest stars, if not your biggest star right now. But do you think Khalil, with this performance, he's going to become a draw in the future, and that people are going to want to actively go out and see him fight?
Yeah, I mean, you have to respect this guy. But I mean, does anybody Did this not play out the way everybody thought it would? I mean, everybody knew. You know, everybody at first was like, "Oh, he's ranked number 8." But you knew it was going to be a badass fight. You knew it was going to be a badass fight. You can never measure heart. You know, you don't know how that's going to go. Well, now you know.
In the third round and maybe into the fourth round there, Alex's jab really started to pick up. And did you feel like when he was landing that jab and the 1-2 that was really the difference in the fight where Khalil maybe wasn't able to breathe after that?
I felt like the difference was the low leg kick. And when he started calf kicking him, he was destroying that leg, and he was having trouble putting pressure on it, and he was having trouble with his punching power, his movement, everything. And he systematically just started picking him apart. You know, and he said, when I watched the feature, he said, listen, this guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream, but my fight IQ will win this fight. He said that in the combo feature, and that's exactly the way it played out.
Two other questions for me. One, you know, you were so high on Anderson Silva during his run. Alex has lost to Israel, but he's beaten probably a better quality of opponent than Anderson did in that run, especially in the first part of that run. How do you think this run of Alex's compares to what Anderson did at that point?
There's no doubt. What this guy has done is unbelievable. Not just in if you want to compare, and the way he's done it. The way he's done it. I mean, this guy destroys everybody.
And then the last question: what did you think of the judging in the co-main event? I mean, it seemed to me.
I thought your judging tonight was atrocious.
Yeah.
Felt like I was at a boxing match in Ireland tonight.
You know, right here.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the appeals of Alex is he fights pretty regularly, like almost like he's like 300, 303, and now Salt Lake. After a fight like this, at some point, I know you like fighters that are active, but do you just kind of have to tell him to like maybe pump the brakes for a little bit, especially after a fight like this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this guy. I mean, this guy always wants to fight. He's 38 too. It's not like he's 28 and he's got this many fights. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out.
And I know you just said the judges were atrocious, but what did you make of the Mario Bautista Jose Aldo fight?
I thought the judging was atrocious tonight. I'll just leave it at that. It was atrocious.
Kayla Harrison, obviously a lot of people thought she would kind of run through her opponents when she came to the UFC, had a hard-fought decision win over Ketlin. What did you make of her performance? And then obviously you showed her on the split screen when Juliana was getting the belt wrapped around her waist.
Yeah, it's, you know, when you get here, and I say it all the time, when you start to break into the top 5, the top 3, it gets tougher, you know. And Juliana and Raquel are both dogs. I mean, they're dogs, so it should be fun.
And Kayla did a lot of, she carried a lot of the promotion for this fight specifically, even in kind of the event. I mean, she drew a lot of numbers on social and media day. And if you kind of compare it to like Michael Chandler, MVP, even Ben Askren, when they all came over, like they just kind of hit the ground running promoting wise. Like they want to do all of the appearances. They carry the pressers. Is that them turning it on when they get to the UFC, or do you recognize this before? And that's
I don't know if it's turning it on, but it's just another level when you get here. They feel it, you know, you feel it. You fucking rot away in the PFL for years or the fucking Bellator and shit, and then you finally get here, you feel it.
And then, not the judging, but what did you make of the referee in the Cesar Almeida Iho Pretaria fight where he kept resetting them? There were like 4 eye pokes. There was a low blow.
Yeah, I missed that. I was in my room and we were talking to people, and I know, but Ratner walked in right after it happened and was like, yeah, that ain't happening again tonight.
And then I'm curious your take on this, because I asked Roman and Kayla about this. In the Roman Dolidze Kevin Holland fight, when he broke his ribs, Kevin's coach was asking him, like, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue? And the commentary felt it should be on the coach to make that call, because fighters are going to want to fight through it. And it might not look good because they might not want to fight, but they don't want to be the ones to throw in the towels. And it should be the coaches that decide their fighter shouldn't fight. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know the story. I don't know what happened. I didn't hear it, and I don't know what happened. But
it looks like he broke his ribs on like turning, and then when he stood up, he was like, I broke my ribs.
I don't know if he broke or popped a rib. I don't know if we know. Let me see if I got that information here. No, I don't. I don't have that info. But popped, broke, I don't know. But yeah, it's tough to maneuver around with a popped. It doesn't even have to be broken. All you got to do is pop that cartilage in between the ribs. No fun.
Dana, going back to that Aldo fight, in the third round, Mario came out and sort of went for a takedown. Referee separated them, immediately goes straight for the takedown again. Do you think the referee could have been more active in quitting on the stalling there?
I always think that the referee should be more active on that, 100%, especially when somebody keeps doing it to stall. And you guys aren't going to fucking let up on this, are you? I guess we'll get into it. I don't know, if you're judging on a guy, whether it's control, if it's this or that, if you're not trying to fight, how do you win the fight, right? And if you're looking at attempted takedowns, well, what about stuffing the takedowns? Just madness.
There is a difference between offensive grappling and just wasting time.
100%.
And it's not just the referees that need to recognize that, but clearly the judges as well.
When you can tell that the guy definitely doesn't want to stand and strike and just wants to stall against the fence, yes, the refs, that's their job. They're supposed to see it. When they see it continually happening and that the guy is not trying to win the fight, then you keep breaking them up.
Do you think Conor McGregor tweeted about his idea for stopping stalling was introducing a stalling clock, and if you go back to the same move, the clock ticks down and you let them be in that position for less and less time? Is maybe not that idea, but would you like to see referees, if they go
I don't even think you need a clock. I mean, it's common sense. When the guy keeps doing it and is doing everything he can to not fight and not win the fight, as a ref, you should break it up immediately. I mean, if he just did it 3 rounds in a row and keeps doing it, and they get there, he doesn't get the takedown, give him a couple seconds, see if he gets the takedown, then break it up.
And just going back to the main event, I know you've already touched on it, but, I think sometimes, because Khalil's like a sort of an empathetic guy, sometimes people kind of judge his mindset and maybe think he might not have the mental fortitude to reach spots like this. For him to show that sort of balls in the 4th round and meet Alex head on and take those punches and still come on even when it's...
From the first round.
Yeah.
He had no fear from the first round. Khalil Roundtree went in there and started going at it the minute the bell rang. No fear, no jitters, no nerves. Maybe he had some jitters and nerves. If he did, he didn't show it. He went right in against one of the baddest dudes of all time and just started mixing it up with him. It was awesome.
Hi, Dana, over here.
Hi.
Hiding behind all the cameras. Alexander Hernandez told us today that this morning he saw a shooting on the streets, and Brendan Royval went and chased the shooter, and I guess they caught the shooter. I'm wondering if you heard of that and if you think that's a smart idea.
Our guys caught the shooter?
Well, I don't know if he caught him, but I guess he was on the phone with 911, but they caught the shooter.
Holy shit.
Is that a smart idea for your headliner next week?
I don't think so, no. I mean, this has happened in the past. It's weird how much this happens to our guys. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that.
There was also a power slap study that came out by a medical journal. Doctors watched the first episode of Power Slap and determined from just watching the first episode that there was concussions happening.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of...
They watched one episode of the show, know nothing about medicals or what we do or any of the studies we've done. Sounds like these typical doctors that look for attention to me.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, and last question. You mentioned already Kayla a little bit, but PFL posted a video about a few hours before her fight, kind of putting her down and using that as a way to promote their upcoming fight with Larissa. What do you think as a promoter? Do you think that's the right kind of play to go?
I think when you're losing as much money as they are, fucking go for it. Fucking throw the kitchen sink at it. These guys, this guy just came out recently and said, we're going to spend more money than they did on the Sphere. Well, that sounds fucking brilliant. How many tickets are you going to sell? Yeah, they're not very bright. So if I were them, I would do it. Listen, it's all fair. Knock yourself out. They're drowning. They suck. I mean, they're not good at what they do. So I guess you would just keep trying anything you can to make something stick. All good.
Dana, one more in the front, right here. Just because you brought up the Sphere, reminded me. The WWE had a big event earlier today too, and at the press conference, AAA said he watched Noche UFC, and he goes, "That's what I want to do." And has he reached out to you at all? Because he was all about the graphics and the production value and everything at this press conference today.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's the first I heard of it. Awesome. Listen, we're all on the same team, so we can help.
Dana, right here in the back. Obviously, tonight was a big night, but you've had a lot of great cards. Well, this was, the third one here in Salt Lake City, and it seems like you're really starting to build a huge fighting spirit culture out here in Salt Lake City. How important is it to you to have, big opportunities for guys in these cities and also bring shows to cities like this?
Let me tell you about this city. So, you know, like you just said, and we're number 1, 2, and 3 all time in the gate. And I'm sure you guys have experienced moving around this city. The nicest people in the world. These people are all really nice. And tell me how fun it is to fly 1 hour and sell out and have this kind of energy an hour away from Vegas. Yeah, no, it's been great out here, and yeah, I love it.
When you get to make a market in a place like this where you like you said, it's a beautiful area that people come to support, does that encourage you to start doing that in other areas too, where the UFC may have never even been yet, but you see what you did here and you want to do that in other places?
Well, you know that's what I do, right? I mean, that's what I do. We're talking now, we're going to start hitting some of these places that we haven't hit in a while. Pre-COVID, we're looking at like Seattle right now, we're looking at going back to Chicago and some of these other places like that. So that'll be coming up in 25.
There was an amazing show in Tennessee. I don't know, man. That might be an idea. A couple years ago, you guys had an awesome show out there. But last from me, you're a guy who's accomplished quite a lot, man. You're getting into the boxing world now. It's another endeavor for you to have some fun with and do something new. I wanted to ask you, what are your biggest overall goals for yourself in your career at this point?
You know, my thing has always been the same since day one. I want to continue to grow the sport. I want to continue, like you said, to go into markets that we've never been to. I want to continue to invest in the sport, you know, like the PI in Mexico and many other ideas that I've had for the last several years. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
And also, I see your knuckles, man. You've been training. You've been hitting some pads.
No, do they look busted? Oh, Jesus Christ. No, that's from Khalil.
Oh, okay. Man.
Yeah. I didn't even see that. It's definitely not for me. I've been cold plunging, not hitting anything, believe me.
Thank you.
I'm too old to be hitting anything.
Dana, right over here.
Yeah.
Just talking a little bit about Utah, the main staple of this entire state is Court McGee. He's been in the UFC now for 14 years, gets the win tonight. How much has he meant to the UFC and also just building the sport of MMA in Utah specifically?
Well, all these guys do. I mean, all of them do. But Court's, you know, obviously a special guy with an incredible story. And, you know, I saw him when he came out tonight, came out of the octagon, and just couldn't be a nicer human being. And I'm really happy for him and his family. You guys done with me?
Over here, just kind of following up on that a little bit with just the way that the events in Utah like this continue to build on themselves. What is it in the water where it feels like, I mean, it started with an incredible kick and then a backflip and then obviously that masterpiece out there. Like, what is it about this state, do you think, where UFC just kind of builds year after year on itself?
What's the question?
Just why do you think it just gets better and better every year here in Utah?
Well, I'll tell you this. The sport is incredible, right? And the live event is amazing. Nobody leaves one of these live events and goes, yeah, I don't ever want to do one of these again. So every time we come, you have to assume that new people are experiencing it for the first time. Somebody who's experienced it many times will bring somebody new. And, I mean, that's how we've grown for the last almost 25 years. That's literally the formula. I hope I answered your question.
No, perfect. Thank you.
Done with me? Yeah? Have a great night, you guys. Thanks.